Douluo. Starting from the spirit of time worm, this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 426. The Guardian Wu prepares to attack the Xiao family. Yunlin sect. Back mountain point. Thin clouds and mist linger in the mountains. Under the mist, the green forest is rolling, and occasionally tall ancient trees are revealed through the clouds and mist. Point in a wooden hut on the cliff. An old man wearing a white robe slowly opened his eyes. A figure shrouded in black mist flew quickly from a distance. He hovered in front of the hut, stood in the air, and let out a sharp and sinister laugh. GGG, Yan Jin, the time I gave you has come. It's been 3 years, and it seems you haven't taken that step yet, Guardian. Bird's voice became cold and stern, and he looked at Yan Jin, who was walking out of the hut, his eyes flashing with cold light. Point facing the pressure from Protector Wu. Yan Jin was not nervous, and said with a smile, "Why should you be anxious, Protector Wu? Don't we still have an agreement? Use the soul of a Dao Huang in exchange for a 1-year extension." "Oh, that's okay." The coldness in Guardian Bird's voice was a little less severe. "It looks like you're ready." "Yes, I think you will be satisfied with it, Protector." Yan Jin smiled and threw his soul bag to Protector Wu. "I don't have the soul of Dao Huang, but this one is no worse than Dao Huang." The Guardian Bird opened the soul bag and took out a slightly illusory soul body from inside. Point. As soon as this soul body came out, it uttered a series of curses. "Yan Jin, how dare you harm me? I curse you to a bad death." In this situation, Furukawa, who had always been open-minded, could no longer maintain his previous demeanor and seemed a little hysterical. Point. When he saw the bird protector, his pupils shrank and he exclaimed, "Soul Palace, you are worthy of being the #1 alchemist of the Jayamar Empire. You have some knowledge." Guardian Ya said with a smile. Point. Obviously, he was extremely satisfied with the soul body handed over by Yan Jin. Ha ha ha. "Yan Jin, I think your Yunlin sect's good times are about to end. As far as I know, none of the forces involved with the Soul Palace have a good ending." Furukawa suddenly laughed loudly. Point. The Guardian Bad didn't give him another chance to say anything and stuffed him into his soul bag. Point. He said to Yan Jin in a calm tone, "Don't take his words to heart. Don't worry, our Soul Palace will not treat meritorious ministers badly. If you can hand over a soul body of this quality every year, it doesn't matter whether you break through the Daozang or not." Yan Jin responded calmly, "It's just the barking of a prodigal dog. I can predict that I'm really not far from that state. I almost crossed it several times. Only one opportunity left. If it were the real Yan Jin, I might feel a little grudge hearing what Furukawa said, but now the Yan Jin controlled by Amon, doesn't he still know what the Soul Palace is? Besides, what does Yunlin sect's good times have to do with him? Then, this is really good news, both for you and me." Guardian Ya smiled. "By the way, please lend me some manpower. I have to do something. Our Soul Palace cannot keep this matter in the open. It is very suitable to use people from your Yunlin sect. This is also an important reason why I decided to support your Yunlin sect. I can't refuse." Yan Jin's face turned slightly solemn and he asked, "What is it?" "If you use my people to do things, you have to let me know what to do, right? If there will be any impact, I can be prepared." After thinking about it for a while, Guardian Ya replied, "It's not a troublesome matter. We just want to destroy a small family." "Little family? Which one?" "The Xiao family." Yan Jin frowned slightly. "Which Xiao family?" "The one in Wutan City." "Yes, it's them." Yan Jin pondered for a moment and said, "Can you wait for a while? Since your Soul Palace wants to remove yourself, it means that there is something about this family that makes you jealous or worried. Even if you borrow my Yunlin sect's hand, you should hope that this action will be as natural as possible. If we suddenly take action without any reason, it will be a big flaw in the eyes of interested people." Just recently, Xiao Yan of the Xiao family and a disciple of my Yunlin sect have a duel that has been agreed upon a long time ago. We can wait for the result of the duel. By then, if there is a conflict, then we will have a reason to take action." "Oh, that's a coincidence. But what if there's no conflict?" Guardian Bird asked. Then, we can't create a conflict, so we can only do it for no reason. We only have less than half a month to wait. Are you in a hurry for this moment? Less than half a month. That can wait. If it can be done logically, it would be the best. Guardian Bird nodded. Immediately, the black mist around him became a little thicker and turned into a ball of black mist rising into the sky. Gigi, I've been waiting for your good news. Don't let me down. In Wotan City, Wu Meng took Xiaozhen in disguise and boarded a simple carriage. Seeing that Xiaozhen was hesitant to speak, he waved his hand, placed a soul barrier in the carriage, and said with a chuckle, "What do you want to say? We just going to travel like this?" Xiaozhen was a little more suspicious of Xiao Yuanshan. This was not in line with the way he imagined a peerless master would travel. According to legend, when a strong man above the level of Daozun rushes to another place, he will tear apart the space at every turn. Wu Meng explained, "We can only rush like this. Although I haven't found out, there are probably people from the Soul Palace in Wotan City who are monitoring the Xiao family. Tearing the space or flying fast will make too much noise, and the Soul Clan will determine that the Xiao family here is a remnant of the Xiao clan, and then the trouble will be even greater. We can conceal the truth by leaving in such an ordinary way. This explanation seems quite reasonable." Xiaozhen chose to believe it. He suddenly said, "Ancestor, when Jaina was born, a man named Gu Yuan came and entrusted his daughter to us." "You said this Gu Yuan? Is it the Gu Yuan you said 1,000 years ago?" Wu Meng said in a hoarse voice. "It's probably him. With his heaven-shattering cultivation, it's normal for him to live for thousands of years." Zhan smiled bitterly, and he began to worry about his youngest son. He knew Xiao Yan's feelings for Zuna. But how easy is it to marry the daughter of such a legendary person? Even when the Xiao clan was at its peak, the man who wanted to propose marriage would probably face a lot of challenges, let alone the current Xiao family. However, Zuna seems to have feelings for Xiao Yanzi, which gives them a chance. I hope it's a good thing, and not a disaster. Alas, if it doesn't work out, I hope Xiao Yanzi can see things more clearly. Xiao Meng is also a good girl, Xiaozhen thought worriedly. The carriage slowly drove out of the city, going farther and farther on the uneven dirt road. In the Xiao family's land, Xiaozhen stroked his monocle and smiled. Chapter 427, Yan Zhuang MENGN-039, S Power. Lick the Signed Q version. Amon dipped his finger into the bottle containing the amethyst sauce, stretched it out in front of the colorful snake, and said with a smile. The colorful little snake looked at the guy in front of him who was smiling maliciously, with a trace of hesitation on his face. Grumble it. Hesitated for a moment, but in the end it couldn't resist the temptation of the amethyst sauce and slowly stepped forward. The evil smile on King Meng's face became even brighter. In his other hand, he held the jade slip that recorded the image. The colorful sky-swallowing python spit out the snake letter, arched its body, and bit King Meng's index finger with lightning speed. "Meng, it hurts." King Meng screamed. "I want you to lick it, not bite it." Xiao Yan looked at the two little guys fighting with a helpless smile on his face. He has nothing to do with these two things. One's body is the great god Queen Medusa, and the other is his automatic idol training device, which will strike when he is angry. There was a fierce light in the eyes of the colorful sky-swallowing python. For some reason, while it was afraid of this cyan guy, it also had an inexplicable hatred. At this moment, the colorful sky-swallowing python bloomed with brilliance. Its figure quickly grew in size, twisted, and finally transformed into an enchanting and beautiful woman. Beautiful Queen Medusa. Xiao Yan was startled and subconsciously took 2 steps back. Medusa glanced at Xiao Yan with her charming eyes and then focused on King Meng. King Meng's eyes widened and he looked at her without fear. "I said, can you take care of your damn strange fire? I really want to strangle this thing to death." Xiao Yan smiled and shrugged. "I can't control it. I still count on it to help me practice." "Did you get what I asked for?" Medusa stared at Xiao Yan with emotionless eyes. "Fortunately, I did not disgrace my destiny." Xiao Yan took out the spirit melting elixir recipe he had won during this time's participation in the alchemist competition. "Give me." Xiao Yan smiled politely but firmly said, "I got this." After working so hard to participate in the alchemist competition, My queen, you want to take it away just by talking about it. Isn't that inappropriate, queen? Medusa's pretty face turned cold. In the worst case, I just won't kill you. Haha. Xiao Yan sneered disdainfully. Queen Medusa's eyes were filled with murderous intent. She glanced at King Meng and opened her teeth slightly. Just think of it as exchange for this thing. I haven't settled the account with you for sneaking into our snake tribe temple and stealing the strange fire. Xiao Yan smiled. How can you prove that this is your strange fire? If you call it, will it agree to you? King Meng made a face at Medusa at the right time. Slightly, Medusa's forehead jumped. She had long been unhappy with the guy who had burned her half to death and often teased the colorful sky-swallowing python. The terrifying aura of the half-stepped Aozan rose from her body. She consciously restrained the scope of her breath and only let it fill the room. Xiao Yan's face darkened and he secretly contacted Yao Chen. Teacher, well, I know. The master and apprentice were always on guard, worried that this beautiful snake would make an attack. However, King Meng did not tolerate her at all. After taking a sip of the amethyst sauce in his mouth, he took a step forward with his chubby short legs and placed one hand on his hips. His body looked particularly imposing. Queen Medusa, Xiao Yan, and Yao Chen were all shocked by it. Because in its right hand, it is holding a 3-color fire lotus composed of green lotus earth core fire, bone spirit cold fire, and purple fire. The bone spirit cold fire was something it gnawed off from the flames of Yao Chen sometime. It incorporated a trace of the origin into its own body, and then consumed the origin of its own green lotus earth heart fire to cultivate it. So Xiao Yan actually has 2 different fires now, but Fenju has not evolved. Because the evolution of Fenju requires not only the properties of flames, but also the absorption of the huge energy of the alien fire. Looking at the 3-color fire lotus in King Meng's hand, Xiao Yan looked a little horrified. He could feel that, if this thing exploded, his body would definitely be wiped out. Medusa's expression was particularly solemn, because King Meng's power depended on Xiao Yan, so this fire lotus was not fatal to her, but it would definitely not be easy for her if she got hit by it. The energy fluctuations of the 3-color fire lotus alarmed Might of Fujiyama. He rushed to Xiao Yan's guest room in a panic. On the way, Haibadong stopped him. Don't worry, he's not that simple. He shouldn't be fighting an enemy, otherwise it wouldn't just be energy fluctuations. Seeing Haibadong being so calm, Might of Fujiyama also calmed down. In the room, realizing Medusa's fear of the 3-color fire lotus, Xiao Yan reacted, put away the panic on his face, stood behind King Meng, folded his hands on his chest, and said with a smile, "My lady queen, can we have a serious talk now? If necessary, he can borrow Yao Chen's soul power and then let King Meng use it to unleash the Buddha's fury fire lotus, which is enough to pose a fatal threat to Medusa." Seeing his somewhat triumphant look, Medusa inexplicably thought of a word. A dog fights against human power. She calmed down her momentum and murderous intent and asked, "How do you want to talk? Even if you take the elixir recipe, it must be difficult to find a 6th grade alchemist who can refine it, right?" Xiao Yan smiled broadly, showing 2 rows of white teeth. Queen Medusa's face darkened slightly. It was indeed difficult for the snake people to hire a 6th grade alchemist. The 6th grade elixir required for the medium level secret method used when she was born almost emptied the family funds of the snake people. Only when it was related to the inheritance of the throne, the snake people would bite their teeth and invite a 6th grade alchemist. What do you think, Xiao? Yang pointed at himself with his index finger. Isn't there a best choice in front of you now? You. Yes, if I can't, I can still ask my teacher. But after refining it for you, you have to protect me for 3 years. Xiao Yan said. Okay, Medusa agreed very decisively. Perhaps she felt that she might be too insincere, so she added, 3 years is too long, so you have to be responsible for collecting the medicinal materials. If I'm not suitable to run around like this, I will definitely not agree to such a condition. She made up her mind to kill this bastard after Xiao Yan helped to refine it. She, the dignified Queen Medusa, is not easy to mess with. Xiao Yan narrowed his eyes and nodded. Okay, Queen. Medusa's body gradually shrank and turned back into the appearance of the 7-colored sky-swallowing python. The 7-colored sky-swallowing python looked at Xiao Yan with its cute big eyes. With a very innocent expression, Xiao Yan sighed and stroked its little head with his index finger. Little guy, I was scared by you, Meng. King Meng swallowed the fire lotus in one gulp, stretched out his hand, and lifted the 7-colored sky-swallowing python by its tail. Xiao Yan's mouth twitched, and cold sweat flowed down his forehead. Hiss. The 7-colored sky-swallowing python turned around angrily, and bit King Meng's monocle. King Meng was shocked, and made a panicked sound of Meng. Meng. At this time, He Bodong, who had arrived late, stood at the door and asked, Xiao Yan, are you okay? Just now, a very strong energy fluctuation came from your place, which scared me. It's okay. I'm experimenting with a new fighting skill. I'm sorry to disturb. Hey Leo, don't disturb me. Don't disturb me. Since you're okay, I'll leave first. The sound of He Bodong's footsteps gradually faded away, and Xiao Yan breathed a sigh of relief. Chapter 428. 3 years had passed. After a quarrel, King Meng and the 7-colored sky-swallowing python finally calmed down. After having enough fun, King Meng returned to Xiao Yan's body with satisfaction, and operated the burning decree for him. At this moment, Xiao Yan has already reached the level of a great fighting master. Because of a small change, his level is slightly higher than in the original book. After thinking for a while, he decided to take the 3-patent Kingling pill that he had refined at the alchemist conference. Originally, this kind of pill would have the highest cost effectiveness when it was kept when the 6-star level was rushing to the 7-star level, but in order to increase the chances of winning, he decided to take it now. Although he was fully confident of defeating Nalan Yanran with King Meng's help, the place of the appointment was in Yunlin sect. In addition to Nalan Yanran, there was also a woman who was closely related to him, so he naturally had to show his best side. In addition, this trip to Yunlin sect might also be quite dangerous. Xiao Yan only guessed at Yun Zhi's identity, and had not yet confirmed it. His own strength would naturally be stronger as much as possible. 3-line green spirit pill, when taken by a grand fighter, has a certain probability of being directly promoted to 3 stars, and there is also a probability of being backlashed by the pill, and falling 1 to 2 stars. A person can only take one 3-line green spirit pill at the grand fighter stage, and the second time is invalid. But if you break through to the Dowling level, you can take another one, and there is a chance to directly increase by 2 stars, but the probability of the drug backlash is also greatly increased. Xiao Yan took out the jade bottle containing the 3-line green spirit pill from the ring, and poured a pill the size of a langan, light green, with 3 cloud patterns, and exuding a strong medicinal fragrance into the palm of his hand. He whispered, you have to cooperate a little, and help me control the power of the medicine. I don't want to be backlashed, Meng. King Meng appeared on Xiao Yan's head, and his little face was full of seriousness. He can also distinguish the occasion, and know when to be naughty, and when not to be naughty. Xiao Yan looked at the wig that King Meng had pushed off his head, and his face lost expression. The fire crystal layer on his head has disappeared, but the 3-year agreement is tomorrow, and it is obviously too late for his hair to grow out. Touching his bald head without a single hair, Xiao Yan looked helpless. If he could not gain an overwhelming advantage in the battle with Nalan Yanran and the fight was a draw, he would definitely not be able to wear this wig. For the sake of his image and to avoid becoming a laughingstock, Xiao Yan needed to devote part of his mind to taking care of the wig, and could not use his full strength. This was also an important reason why he took the risk of taking the 3-striped green spirit pill to increase his level at this critical moment. Otherwise, even if he won the battle, he would still lose. After pondering for a while, Xiao Yan swallowed the 3 stripes green spirit pill in one gulp. The powerful medicinal power surged through his limbs and bones. With King Meng helping him to run the exercises, he did not need to devote too much energy to this, and had more energy to perceive the changes in the Tao crystal in his body. Great Tao Master 2 stars, Great Tao Master 3 stars, Great Tao Master 4 stars. Xiao Yan maximized the efficacy of this 3 stripes green spirit pill, and increased his level by 3 levels in one breath, feeling the Tao Qi filling his body. Xiao Yan suddenly punched. His fist cut through the air, making a woohoo sound. He smiled. Feeling the breath outside, he whispered, Come in. Hey Leo. Hey. Bodung's face was full of smiles. Congratulations, little brother. Your cultivation has reached a high level. Lucky. Xiao Yan said modestly. This is not lucky. It is rare for the 3-line Kingling pill to be upgraded by 3 levels. Without your own accumulation, most of the time it can only be upgraded by 2 stars. Hey Bodung said seriously. Is there anything, hey Leo? This time, it shouldn't be my cultivation that disturbed you, right? Xiao Yan smiled. Tension. Just gave me this thing. Hey Bodung took out a cloud white letter with simple and elegant workmanship from the ring point. The surface of the letter was painted with clouds and a long sword, and the long sword was inserted in the center of the cloud. Even if it was just a pattern, the sharpness of the sword could be felt. Yan Lan sect's invitation? Xiao Yan looked at the pattern, his eyebrows moved, and he guessed the purpose of this thing at once. Yes, Yan Lan sect invited important figures from all major forces in the Jayamar Empire to attend the ceremony. Hey Bodung smiled. Heh, aren't they afraid that Nalan Yanran will lose face? Xiao Yan showed a sneer at the corner of his mouth point, because Yan Zhi's slight affection for Yan Lan sect was suppressed again. His eyes became cold. He asked coldly, is this what their sect leader meant? Hey. Bodung shook his head. It shouldn't be. Their sect leader Yan seems to have gone to track down the people in the Sky Snake Mansion. Yan Shan went into seclusion again after a battle with Queen Medusa more than a year ago. Maybe he is healing, or he may be preparing to break through to Daozang. So the current affairs of Yan Lan sect are all presided over by the Elders Pavilion. Hearing the name Yanshan, the colorful little snake emerged from Xiao Yan's collar, with a hint of playfulness in its eyes. Soon, its eyes became blank again, and it made a clear G sound. Twisted its body, and licked Xiao Yan's neck. Hey Bodung, who was controlled by Amon, certainly knew that the little snake was Queen Medusa. After a glance, he ignored it and continued. Tengshan guessed that this was the idea of their elder Yunling. It is said, that guy is the most face conscious. Once he has the chance, he will find a way to enhance the prestige of Yunlan sect. Xiao Yan said, since they want to step on me to boost the reputation of their young master, then I have to teach them a lesson. When Xiao Yan heard that Yun was not in Yunlan sect, he felt relieved for some reason. At the same time, he was happy that this idea was not hers. Don't relax too early. Yun loves Nalan Yanran very much. With such a big thing, she is probably rushing back overnight. Maybe she will arrive tomorrow. Hey Bodung reminded. I know. Xiao Yan nodded. Hey Bodung left Xiao Yan's room. Xiao Yan sat down on the bed, holding his chin in thought. He contacted Yao Chen in his mind. Teacher, do you think Yun Zhi is Yun? Yao Chen said in a teasing tone. Why? You want to sneak into Yun Zhi's room after beating Nalan Yanran? Yes, I don't object. More children means more blessings. Xiao Yan's forehead jumped. I'm talking about business. This is related to our safety in Yunlan sect. Yao Chen smiled and said, maybe, maybe not. Although it is announced that only the sect master of Yunlan sect is a Daohuang strongman, maybe this is their hidden power. Don't worry, there is the little guy on your shoulder, and me. Even if Yun Shan breaks through the Daozang, he can't do anything to us. If they really force it too much, I will lend you my power. Let your strange fire throw a 3-color fire lotus. I'm afraid Yunlan sect will collapse halfway. Xiao Yan nodded. I hope it won't be the worst. He looked out the window. It was still late at night, so he lay on the bed and closed his eyes. In a small wooden house deep in Yunlan Mountain, Yunshan, wearing a white robe, pinched his right eye socket, and the corner of his mouth slowly curled back, revealing a slight smile. He stared at the night sky from the window, his eyes deep. The 3-year agreement has come. Xiao Yan should come too. Well, I must welcome him well tomorrow, and give him a big surprise. Then he turned around, and the window creaked shut. It was late at night, and the stars shone on the earth. In silence, time passed quietly. Chapter 429. The 3-year agreement begins. The rising sun broke through the darkness, and the huge Yunlan Mountain stood not far from the Gamma imperial capital, casting a slanting shadow. Xiao Yan slowly walked to the courtyard of the Mita family. At this time, a thick-winged bird was already waiting here. Mittel Fujiyama, Mittel Yafi, and Haberdong stood at the feet of thick-winged bird. Little brother Zhao Yan, please come on. Yafei stepped forward to smooth the wrinkles on his collar and said softly in a charming tone, "We will win." Zhao Yan responded confidently, "Let's go, it's getting late." Haberdong jumped on the thick-winged bird's back. Zhao Yan also followed. The huge thick-winged bird flapped its wings, and a strong wind raged in the courtyard. The wind made Fujiyama and Yafei's clothes rustle. Yafei stared at Zhao Yan silently for a long time, until he disappeared from her sight. Middle Fujiyama looked at her like this, and showed a hint of teasing. "Why are you moved? If you are moved, just pursue it boldly. The family will support you." Yap. Faye stroked the monocle on her right eye, raised the corner of her mouth, and outlined a smile. "I've always liked him." The thick-winged bird slowly approached Yunlin Mountain. When it was about to arrive, Haberdong suddenly said, "I'm going to take the first step. I'll open the eyes of the Yunlin sect guys and let them know what genius is. Let them know what they missed. I will." Zhao Yan chuckled. Thick-winged bird put him down 1 kilometer away from Yunlin Mountain. During the final journey, Zhao Yan did not use the purple cloud wings to rush, but walked slowly and unhurriedly towards the mountain peak that almost occupied the entire field of vision, and reached into the sky. A man, dressed in black robes and holding an ancient ruler, looks like an ascetic. 3 years of training are just for the present. 3 years of struggle are just to let those who once trampled his dignity know. 30 years in Hedong, 30 years in Hexi. Don't bully young people into poverty. Stepping on the dust, leaving shallow footprints. Zhao Yan's heart gradually calmed down, because the somewhat unstable aura that had just broken through the 3rd level gradually converged. Passing by the troops of the Gamma royal family stationed at the foot of Yunlin Mountain, Zhao Yan glanced at the continuous tents and then looked away. Follow the road to the foot of Yunlin Mountain, surrounded by lush vegetation on both sides, and a bluestone step extending to the end of the line of sight appears in front of you, like a ladder to the sky. He gently stepped onto the first stone steps and officially arrived at Yunlin Mountain. There was a slight turmoil in my heart, and then it quickly calmed down. He walked through this long staircase step by step, just like he had been improving himself step by step in the sword, blood, and fire in the past 3 years. When he walked up the last step, he came to a huge square paved with ancient boulders. In the center of the square, there is a record of the names of Yunlin sect's previous sect leaders and those who have made great contributions on both sides of the square. There are nearly 1,000 disciples of the Yunlin sect sitting cross-legged. They were dressed neatly in moon-white clothes, with wisps of sword intent permeating the air. Looking serious and solemn, his gaze passed over the stone monument in the center of the square, past the nearly 1,000 disciples on both sides, and towards the stone pedestal at the end of the square. The top position was empty. Presumably it was the position of the sect leader who had not yet returned. After staying on the suspended stone seat for a while, his eyes moved down and saw a dozen old men in white robes sitting cross-legged. They continued downward and finally settled on a beautiful face. The beautiful girl wearing a moon-white dress also slowly opened her eyes and stood up. The eyes of the boy in black and the girl in white met in midair, and sparks seemed to collide. "Zhao family, Zhao Yan." The boy's sonorous and powerful voice echoed in the square. What responded to him was the girl's clear voice. "Nailin family, Nailin Yanran." On both sides of the square, there are many towering trees. At the moment, there are many figures standing on the treetops of these trees. They are all representatives of the major forces in the empire, invited by Yunlin sect to watch the battle. It's that the rumored good-for-nothing young master of the Zhao family who can't contain fighting spirit? This doesn't seem like it. I feel like he is stronger than many people here. Jia. Xingshan glanced at the young people who were brought to see the world by the heads of various families, and said with a chuckle, "The Nailin family made a mistake this time." Mu Chen said to Nailin beside him with a hint of teasing. Nailin gave him a sharp look, and let out a cold snort. He looked at Zhao Yan's figure with a bit of surprise, and he felt that the other person's figure seemed a bit familiar. Haberdong ate a banana, and dropped the peel casually. Fighting energy surged from his body, forming a nice seat on the treetops. He sat on the chair, supported his head with his right hand, and smiled. "He is not that simple. Let's just watch the show." Old Man, hey, your ice power is getting more and more sophisticated. Jia Zingshan praised. Hey, Bodong shook his head. I have been sealed by that woman Medusa for so long, and my strength has not been able to increase. I have no choice but to study martial arts and fighting skills when I have nothing to do. There were also some whispers among the disciples of Yunlin sect. Is this really the rumored Zhao family trash from Wutan City? Why do I feel like he is stronger than me? Someone with better eyesight put aside his inherent impression of Zhao Yan and looked at him carefully, expressing doubts in his heart. Maybe this is the world of geniuses, and I might not even be as good as a waste. The disciple with a relatively negative mentality thought silently. HMPH, it's just a pretense. In a moment, Senior Sister Malin will reveal his true colors. Some people said disdainfully. Malin Yanran stared at the somewhat indifferent figure across the square. Compared to Zhao Yan, who burst out in anger 3 years ago, he was undoubtedly more calm at the moment. He must have gone through a lot and suffered a lot. A look of apology appeared in his eyes and then quickly disappeared. But why does the way he looks at me feel so weird? Apart from some anger, there seemed to be something else. Nalan Yanran felt that this look seemed a bit familiar. The elders of the Yunlin sect sitting at the top of the stone steps looked at each other. Some of them felt faintly uneasy. This Zhao Yan didn't look like someone who was easy to mess with. Is it too hasty to post a post inviting guests? You Zhao Yan. Young Leng, the great elder who was sitting in the middle of the elder seat, stood up slowly. The sect leader has not returned yet, so I will be the host of today's 3-year appointment. This competition is for discussion. Where are there so many rules? Everyone has their destiny. Zhao Yan interrupted him lightly. Although he didn't want to play hard in the competition, Zhao Yan didn't like these Yunlin sect elders and couldn't stand their behavior of setting rules for themselves. He did not forget that it was these elders who invited so many people to come and expand this matter. Yun Leng's words were interrupted and a faint dissatisfaction appeared on his face. It's up to you. Nalan Yanran nodded slightly. Yun Ling shook his head, young and energetic. I don't know how to keep a tightrope when doing things, but since you all agree, let's do what you want. But remember, try to save as much strength as possible in the battle, and don't kill anyone. I hope that regardless of victory or defeat, after today, your grievances can be completely settled. Zhao Yan ignored the chattering old guy and looked at Nalan Yanran. The cause of the past is the result of today. Since you have done something wrong, you must bear the price. My Zhao family has endured enough of this shame in the past 3 years. Next, I will return it to your Nalan family one by one. Nalan Yanran looked solemn. It was my fault in the past, but if I could turn back time, I would still make the same choice. I make my own decisions about my marriage, and Nalan Yanran will not marry someone I don't love. Today's battle is not only related to myself, but also to Yunlin sect. I will not hold back. Ha. Zhao Yan shook his head slightly, with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. Hold your hands. You are still the same, as aloof as ever. Who do you want to keep your hands on? Zhao Yan took a step forward, and the momentum of the 4-star fighting master burst out without reservation. Chapter 430. I don't want face. Yunling was still angry that he was ignored, but when Zhao Yan's momentum burst out, he was completely stunned. 4-star. Great fighter? Yunling cried out. Yunshan, who was secretly watching the development of the matter from the depths of Yunlin Mountain, asked calmly, did you do anything with the soul enhancing pill you gave him before? Beside him, Yun Meng sat on a piece of bluestone with a slight smile on his face. No. I thought so at first, but later I felt that his value was not high and not worthy of my precious volume share, so I gave up this idea. In addition, Amon will be negatively affected by the host. The deeper the degree of parasitism, the more severe the reverse influence. Therefore, Amon do not like parasitic idiots. This guy Yun Leng is surprisingly stupid. Sometimes I wonder if he is a spy planted by the hostile forces in the Yunlan sect. As a result, after 3 years and 3 years, he accidentally took the position of the Great Elder. Yunshan shook his head. No doubt, he has this kind of character. A commotion broke out among the Yunlin sect disciples in the square. How is that possible? A grand fighter? And he doesn't seem to be a grand fighter for the first time. This disciple's level was not high. It could only be seen that Xiao Yan was a grand fighter, but his star rating could not be determined. Has senior sister Malin advanced to the realm of great fighter master? A disciple asked worriedly. Malin Yanran's cultivation is a mystery to these ordinary disciples, and they are not sure about the other party's situation. 4-star. Great fighting master. It is said that 3 years ago, he only had the 3rd level of fighting spirit. Is this possible? A trace of doubt appeared on Jia Xingshan's face. Farmer, the president of the Alchemist Guild of the Jia Empire, shook his head. Either his talent is truly astonishing, or he was practicing a certain secret method, which led to his fighting spirit being blocked, or declining in a short period of time. I prefer the latter scenario. Secret method? If that's the case, it makes sense. No matter what the situation is, it shows that this kid is not such a simple person. Jia Xingshan said with great interest. He was happy to see Yunlin sect's relationship with such a genius come to fruition. He glanced at Heiboden from the corner of his eye and saw that the old god was there. He didn't seem to be surprised by Xiao Yan's performance, so he asked, "Old man Hei, have you expected this situation? Do you know him?" Heiboden chuckled. "You will know as you read on." Mew. Chen glanced at Melanji with schadenfreude. Pushing such a talented son-in-law out of the house would probably make someone's intestines turn green. Melanji looked at Mew Chen angrily, feeling bitter in his heart. Of course, the one who was most shocked was Melan Yanran. Didn't she know what Xiao Yan was like when she went to the Xiao family 3 years ago? But in just 3 years, he actually surpassed himself. Let's get started. Xiao Yan pressed his left hand on the top of his head, held the handle of the ancient ruler with his right hand, and pulled it out from behind. Bang. The ancient ruler hit the ground, and cracks appeared on the stone-paved floor. The weight made many Yunlin sect disciples' hearts skip a beat. Malin Yanran took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in her heart, looked solemnly, and said in a calm tone, "Your cultivation level is indeed far beyond my expectations, but fighting is not just about your cultivation level." The emerald narrowing on the index finger of her right hand shimmered, and a light cyan long sword appeared in her hand. The wind attribute power lingering on the sword shows how extraordinary this long sword is. This is a magic nuclear weapon embedded with a high-level magic core. She had the momentum of a great fighting master, but she was obviously weaker than Xiao Yan. Seeing that Xiao Yan had no intention of attacking first, Malin Yanran lightly stomped the ground with her feet, thrust out her sword, and the wind-attributed fighting spirit surged. Wind. Spirit fractal sword, facing the tyrannical Xiao Yan. She did not dare to be careless at all. Even if it was just a test, she used intermediate Zuan level fighting skills. A long sword trembled slightly, and 5 energy sword shadows were separated during the stabbing process. The shadow of the sword is only a large part of the sword body, without the hilt, which makes it look a bit illusory. But judging from the fierce momentum, these 5 sword shadows are not deceptive tricks, but are really lethal, and they are not weak, as expected of the young master of the Yunlin sect. Such advanced fighting skills come at your fingertips. Xiao Yan admired, but he simply waved his giant ruler to repel the menacing Malin Yanran. His light cyan fighting spirit enveloped the giant ruler, wrapping the inner layer of light cyan flames, making it difficult for people to see clearly the anomalies on the ancient ruler. Farmer's eyes narrowed slightly, staring at Xiao Yan's ancient ruler with a thoughtful look on his face. Malin Yanran relied on the force of the collision between the ancient ruler and the long sword to fly into the air like catkins at this moment. Her body was covered with a layer of light cyan armor. This is the iconic feature of a great fighter, the fighting spirit armor. Facing Xiao Yan's arrogant strength, she had to use her fighting spirit armor to resist in order not to be injured in the collision. Malin Yanran did not fall down in the air, but was suspended quietly. At first glance, she seemed to be able to stay in the air. The Yunlin sect's Feng Piaoxu body technique is indeed well deserved. It's really rare for Melan's niece to practice it to such an extent at such a young age. Mew Chen made a sound of admiration, but Melanji's expression on the side was still gloomy. In the first confrontation, it was obvious that Malin Yanran was at a slight disadvantage. She tiptoed, as if stepping on the air, and shot towards Xiao Yan fiercely. Feng. Kyangang. The long sword stabbing at Xiao Yan was just a feint. The real attack was a Dao Ki from her hand. 5 strands of sword energy condensed from wind attributed Dao Ki formed silently at her fingertips, then burst out, entangled with each other, and turned into a thin green line, shooting towards Xiao Yan with a sharp sound of breaking through the air. This is a very tricky finger fighting skill. When the green thin line was about to hit Xiao Yan, it strangely split into 5 sword energy again, targeting Xiao Yan's 5 vital points. Seeing such a fierce move, Xiao Yan raised his eyebrows, and the powerful soul power keenly captured the trajectory of the sword energy point. He turned around and blocked 3 with the ancient ruler. With green flames wrapped around his hands, he extinguished the remaining 2 that were close to each other with 1 palm point. The flame flashed and disappeared, which made many people only sense that he was using a fire attributed trick. Only Farmer, Jia Zingshan and a few others who watched the alchemist competition, and whose strength was Daoan or above, could confirm that this was a flame point. Why does it feel a bit like strange fire? In Farmer's eyes, Xiao Yan's figure gradually overlapped with Yan Zhao, who won the Alchemist Conference Championship before. Speaking of which, if you want to refine a top level 4th grade pill like the 3-pattern green spirit pill, even if you have the power of strange fire, the level requirements for yourself will not be low. At the very least, you must have the strength of a great Dao Master or a high star Dao Master, because it is not clear how strange fire helps with refining medicine. Farmer's estimation is relatively vague. In this way, it seems that the Dao Ki cultivation also matches. Wait, Xiao Yan, Yan Zhao, isn't this just the name reversed? He remembered that Heiboden and Yan Zhao seemed to have some connection before, and today he showed an intriguing attitude towards Xiao Yan. Thinking of this, Farmer was almost certain that the Xiao Yan in front of him was a Yan Zhao who suddenly emerged and disappeared at the Alchemist Conference. He couldn't help but cast an inquiring look at Heiboden, and Heiboden noticed his gaze and nodded slightly. Farmer took a deep breath and slowly calmed down the shock in his heart. 4-star Grand Fighter, 4th grade alchemist. Xiao Yan's achievements, no matter which one is taken out separately, can be proud of the younger generation of the Jia Empire. When both of these are gathered in one person, it can only be said to be terrifying. The rest of the people can't even look up to him. Jia Zingshan noticed the tacit eye contact between the 2 of them and raised his eyebrows. Why do I feel that these 2 old guys have understood something and only I'm confused? The battle on the square continued, and the 2 green lights kept interweaving and colliding. Xiao Yan pressed his head with his left hand from time to time and waved the ancient giant ruler with his right hand. Nalan Yanran used the Feng Piaoxu body method of Yunlin sect, with a light body, moving with the wind, and constantly releasing various Dao Ki, but they were all blocked by Xiao Yan's ancient ruler entangled by the Kinglian earth core fire. And the green Dao Ki. She saw that Xiao Yan's left hand never left his head, and a faint anger appeared on her face. Xiao Yan, are you looking down on me? Do you think you can defeat me with one hand? What are you talking about? Do you think I like to fight you with one hand? Isn't it that I can't spare a hand? Xiao Yan complained in his heart. Xiao Yan wanted to end the battle as quickly as possible and let Nalan Yanran taste the bitter fruit he planted 3 years ago, but he didn't want to reveal too many cards, so he played steadily and accumulated advantages bit by bit. Xiao Yan chuckled and said, "You are only allowed to look down on others, but not others to look down on you? If there is a way, let me use both hands. Is this all the young master of Yunlin sect can do?" Nalan Yanran floated backwards, just lightly touched the ground with her toes, and flew far away. After thinking carefully, he found that Xiao Yan's movements were very strange. Rather than looking down on himself and not using his left hand, it felt like he was intentionally protecting the top of his head. Could this be his weakness? After making such a guess, Nalan Yanran immediately took action and tentatively attacked the top of Xiao Yan's head. Fuck. Xiao Yan was frightened by her and retreated for the first time. Nalan Yanran saw that her guess seemed to be correct and continued to attack without hesitation. Xiao Yan retreated step by step, although his cultivation was higher than his opponent. Because he could only use one hand, his performance was greatly limited, and it was difficult to resist Nalan Yanran's small but very intensive attacks. The situation seemed to have reversed. Nalan Yanran had been unable to break through Xiao Yan's defense, but now she was chasing Xiao Yan. Seeing this scene, the disciples of Yunlin sect cheered. Come on, senior sister. The elders of Yunlin sect on the high platform looked unhappy. Although Xiao Yan kept retreating, he was still calm. On the other hand, Nalan Yanran was exhausted due to the high frequency of fighting skills. Is there any injury on his head? Farmer was puzzled. Hayboden suppressed his smile and shook his head calmly. I don't know either. Feeling the pressure, Xiao Yan decided to reveal some of his cards. On his ruler, the blue flame was surging, and the air around him was scorched and distorted. The blue flame was exposed to everyone without any concealment, and many people felt that the flame was familiar. Sure enough, Xiao Yan is Yan Xiao. Farmer sighed and said, what? Jia Xingshan's face changed slightly. Is this the same person? Nalan Ji was not unfamiliar with the Azure Lotus Earth Core fire. He had experienced this kind of flame that expelled the branding poison for himself several times. The expression on his face became more bitter. An 18-year-old 4-star fighting master and a 4th grade alchemist. What heights can such a young man reach in the future? Fighting against the mighty emperor. A 6th grade alchemist. Even higher. But this opportunity to make the Nalan family more prosperous was just pushed away in vain. Xiao Yan is Yan Xiao? No wonder it felt like he had seen his eyes before somewhere. Nalan Yanran was greatly shocked. She never expected that the first peer who made her feel ashamed and admired would be the trash of the Xiao family whose dignity she once trampled under her feet. It's time to end it. Seeing Nalan Yanran's declining condition, Xiao Yan threw the ancient ruler that was wrapped with kinglians in a fire fiercely forward. Nalan Yanran avoided it lightly, but heard the sound of wind and thunder ringing in her ears. A flash of thunder. Without the Zuan ancient ruler's suppression of Dao Qi, Xiao Yan's Dao Qi circulation speed and his own movement speed suddenly increased a lot. Xiao Yan's feet were entangled with wind and thunder, and he was behind Nalan Yanran in an instant, catching her off guard. Baji. Collapse. Xiao Yan did not show mercy to her and shattered Nalan Yanran's green fighting spirit armor with an elbow, only to withdraw 2 points of strength at the last moment. Nalan Yanran vomited blood and threw herself forward. She didn't know that Xiao Yan was already merciful. He tiptoed and floated into the sky, preparing to use his strongest moves to make the final push. Aerial combat. The corners of Xiao Yan's lips curled up into a sneer, and the Xian wings behind him stretched out, vibrating the wings, and quickly came behind Nalan Yanran. Her fighting skills had not yet been formed, and she was far less agile in the air than Xiao Yan's flying fighting skills. She could only close her eyes helplessly. Xiao Yan's right hand was in the shape of a palm, and he was about to take a photo. Yunling's voice sounded in his ears. Little friend Xiao Yan, could you please give Yanran some favors for the sake of the Yunlin sect? The Yunlin sect will definitely give you a satisfactory reward afterwards. There was a hint of sarcasm on Xiao Yan's face. Yunlin sect wanted to save face, but he, Xiao Yan, didn't want to lose face. Someone has to bear this shame after all. Nalan Yanran's willful behavior has caused him, and the Xiao family, to bear the shame for 3 years. It is time for someone else to shoulder the burden in the future. Fighting energy surged from his palms, and he pressed hard on Nalan Yanran's back. Nalan Yanran fell down weakly, hitting the ground heavily, and another stream of blood spurted out from her mouth. This time, she could clearly feel that Xiao Yan was holding back, and her physical injuries no longer allowed her to continue fighting. She laughed miserably. I lost. Xiao Yan fell to the ground, looked at him expressionlessly, and said calmly, yes, you lost. Nalan Yanran supported the ground with her long sword, and stood up unsteadily. According to the previous agreement, I was supposed to be a slave, but, no need. Xiao Meng will kill you, if he knows you want to take her position. Xiao Yan interrupted coldly, before she could finish her, but words Nalan Yanran couldn't help but think of the girl in black who protected Xiao Yan behind her 3 years ago. She was no less talented than herself, and called herself Xiao Yan's maid. Her expression froze, and her determination to die in her heart weakened a lot. After a long while, she sighed softly and said, yeah, maybe I'm not even qualified to be a slave by your side. You always have to take responsibility for doing something wrong. The Malin family is humiliated because of me, and the Yunlin sect's reputation is damaged because of me. Malin. Yanran looked in the direction of Malin Ji and said softly, "Grandpa, I'm sorry." Then he looked in the direction of the Yunlin sect elders on the stone steps. "Say sorry to the teacher for me." After saying that, she slashed her neck with a sword, intending to kill herself to apologize. Yanran. Young sect master. Malin Ji and Yun Leng were shocked and screamed point, but because she was too far away, she couldn't stop her in time, so she could only watch as the sharp sword got closer and closer to her neck point. A sound broke through the air, followed by the sound of dingling the long sword falling to the ground point. It was Xiao Yan, who was closest to him, who took action, and knocked the long sword out of Malin Yanran's hand with a burst of energy. He shook his head and said softly, "Don't be so extreme. If something happens to you here, how do you want me to explain it to your teacher?" Huh? Malin Yanran blinked her eyes, looking a little confused. Explain to my teacher? What's the meaning? Seeing the sword fall to the ground, Malin Ji and Yun Leng breathed a sigh of relief. The former quickly came to Malin Yanran to prevent her from doing stupid things again. Chapter 431. Hairstyle is messy. The entire Guangqing was silent, and the disciples of Yunlin sect were all immersed in the shock of Malin Yanran's defeat. The younger generation who came to watch the battle all looked horrified, except that Liu Ling and Yaoi, who were alchemists and had different training courses. Malin Yanran had always been the strongest among them. But such a target that had been standing in front for them to catch up with was defeated so easily, with such no suspense. Although they had vaguely seen the result while the battle was going on, they still felt unbelievable when the dust finally settled. And judging from Xiao Yan's appearance, he seems to have great reservations. What makes them even more frustrated is that Xiao Yan has another identity. He is still Yan Xiao. He is the champion of the alchemist conference, and a 4th level alchemist who can refine top level 4th level elixirs such as the 3-line Kingling pill, not to mention young people like them. I'm afraid that even the strong men of the older generation must face him and put him in a relatively equal position. Mutation snickered from the side. That old guy Malin Ji is probably so regretful that he wants to hit the wall. Jia. Xingshan looked at Xiao Yan, his eyes flickering, and he murmured in his heart, "I don't know if I can use Yaoi to lure him to the Jia royal family, or Yaoi. If it doesn't work, it's okay to go together." Malin Ji stood next to Malin Yanran, looked at Malin Yanran, and then at Xiao Yan, with a complicated look on his face, and sighed. He seemed to be much older. He cupped his hands towards Xiao Yan and said, "Thank you, little friend, for stopping Yanran from doing something stupid. What should be done?" Xiao Yan waved his hands indifferently, even more indifferent to Malin Ji than when he was Yan Xiao. Malin Ji opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Thousands of words could only be turned into a helpless sigh. Xiao Yan picked up a neatly folded piece of paper at his feet, which floated out of Malin Yanran's arms during the battle just now. After opening it, I was slightly stunned. This was the divorce letter he wrote back then, to counter Malin Yanran's breakup of the engagement. The divorce letter seemed to have worn out some small holes due to repeated unfolding and folding. This divorce letter seemed to hold considerable weight in Malin Yanran's heart. On the slightly childish font, the blackened blood marks were so dazzling under the sunlight. He glanced at the empty spot at the top of the stone steps at the end of the square, with complicated thoughts, and then calmly said to Malin Yanran, "The 3-year agreement has ended. The matter has come to this. It doesn't matter whether it is right or wrong. There is no more entanglement between us. Don't take this kind of thing to heart." Green flames rose from his hand, burning the divorce letter into ashes. 3 years are over. You will continue to be your young sect master, and I will be my ascetic monk. Let's continue on our own path. I hope we can both go to the end. He turned around and walked down the stone stairs. "You're not a simple little guy. Given time, I'm afraid even we can only look up to you." Farmer admired. Jia Xingshan nodded in agreement. He glanced at the stone steps at the end of the square and condensed slightly. But after Yunlin sect has been humiliated so much, it may not be easy to leave safely. Those elders are not so unreasonable. Jia Xingshan has decided that if the elders of Yunlin sect forcefully stop Xiao Yan without justifiable reasons, He will help. The last time Yan Jin was active was a year ago. At that time, he clearly did not break through the Daozang, otherwise he would not suffer at the hands of Queen Medusa. The honorary elder Furukawa died at the hands of the snake people. But if Dao Huang is at his peak, Jia Zingshan won't be afraid of him. Anyway, the relationship between the Yunlan sect and the Jiama royal family is not that good. In order to form a good relationship with Xiao Yan, it is not a big problem to offend the Yunlan sect a little. Damn. Boy, Yan Leng's face was livid. He was already a little annoyed when Xiao Yan ignored him over and over again. Now he was so disrespectful that the majesty of the Yunlan sect was shattered. Great. Elder, what should we do now? An elder had a bitter smile on his face. They originally wanted to take this opportunity to show the outside world the power of their young sect leader and boost the reputation of the Yunlan sect, but they didn't expect that in the end they would shoot themselves in the foot. Yunleng didn't know how to deal with it for a while. He was the one who proposed the idea of inviting guests, but the result was chicken feathers all over the floor, which made him feel shameless. But in front of so many power leaders, he couldn't embarrass Xiao Yan without any reason. That would only make Yunlan sect's reputation even worse. An elder came over and quietly gave an idea. The incident in Yancheng has not yet been resolved, and the murderer of Mo Cheng has not been identified. But among the strong men fighting in the sky above Yancheng at that time, one of them used cyan flames, and maybe he. And what's the connection between this and Xiao Yan? People in the Yunlan sect also knew that Mo Cheng's death had little to do with those unknown strong men. He died in a sneak attack from behind. It was more likely that someone within the Mo family had done it. The current head of the Mo family, Imolan K, is the prime suspect. But now they only need a reason to keep Xiao Yan, even if this reason is a bit high sounding. After thinking for a moment, Yunleng felt that this reason could be used. After all, Mo Cheng had made great contributions to the Yunlan sect and had a wide range of friends. Many people in the Yunlan sect spoke out for him, hoping to find out the truth. Mr. Xiao Yan, please stay for a moment. We, Yunlan sect, have something going on, and we need your cooperation in the investigation. Xiao Yan, who hadn't gone very far, paused, frowned and said, "What's the matter?" He had a bad feeling in his heart, thinking that this trip might be full of twists and turns. Nalan Yanran wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and said softly, "Grand Elder, today's matter is indeed that Yanran is not as skilled as others. Her pride did not allow her to use various reasons to make things difficult for others after losing the competition. Losing is losing, just admit it openly. Yanran, please step down. This has nothing to do with you. I have something else to talk to him about." Yunleng waved his hand with a serious face. Nalan Yanran hesitated for a moment, dragged his injured body, and slowly retreated to the side. Jia Zingshan narrowed his eyes slightly, ready to take action. If Yunleng's reasons were sufficient, he would not intervene forcefully, but if they were not sufficient, he would not sit idly by. Yunleng spoke in a low voice. Some time ago, the outer sect deacon of my Yunlan sect, the great elder of the Mo family, Imolan, was killed by unknown persons, and among the mysterious persons who appeared that day, one of them used a green flame. Some eyewitness testimonies show that the man's flame was very overbearing, and it seemed to be a strange fire. Xiao Yan sneered, "If you want to investigate, then investigate. That is your Yunlan sect's business, and it has nothing to do with me. I have no obligation to cooperate." "I think you are guilty," Yunleng said coldly. "It's easy to find excuses to accuse someone of a crime. Whatever you say, don't you just want to find a plausible reason to keep me? This is the style of the Yunlan sect. Can't afford to lose." Xiao Yan replied coldly, sharp-tongued. "Kid." Yunleng's eyes turned cold, and he suddenly dodged and stretched out his hand to grab Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan's face changed drastically. Yunleng was a real high-level Dao Wang. Even if the opponent just attacked casually without using fighting skills, it brought him great pressure. Xiao Yan gritted his teeth and used his strongest fighting skills. The huge ancient ruler rotated half a circle and then smashed hard at the palm. That was like a dry branch that was grabbing him. Flame dividing, wave devouring ruler. As he used his fighting skills, the energy of heaven and earth gathered on the ruler, which more than doubled its original power. Its This, an earth level fighting skill, based on the characteristics of its ability to draw the energy of heaven and earth. Jia Xingchen judged the level of this move and couldn't help but scream point bang. The giant ruler collided with the skinny palm, and terrifying energy burst out. Xiao Yan used this force to retreat rapidly. Purple black wings spread out from his back, and he flew into the sky. Due to the suddenness of Yan Leng's attack, Xiao Yan's response was very hasty, so it was inevitable that he would lose sight of one thing while focusing on another. A wig slowly fell from the sky in the stunned eyes of more than 1,000 people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 432. Xiao Yan is my brother. Who dares to touch him? Xiao Yan was stunned, feeling the chill on his scalp in the wind. He looked at the wig that fell to the ground mechanically, his eyes widened, his expression dull, as if he had suffered a major blow. Some muffled sounds came from the disciples of Yunlin sect, and many people's shoulders shrugged, and it was very hard to hold back their laughter. Puff. Nalan Yanran couldn't help it, and made a light sound. She immediately covered her mouth with her left hand, but her already curved eyes still betrayed her, revealing the fact that she laughed very hard. She finally knew why Xiao Yan kept holding his head with his left hand during the battle with her. So that's what it was like, seeing her wanting to laugh, but not daring to laugh. Nalan Ji said coldly, this shows that he defeated you while worrying about his image and retaining a lot of strength. Nalan Yanran's smile suddenly froze. Sadness seemed to be even greater. The disciples of Yunlin sect have received special training and know that in many cases, a blank expression can bring greater psychological pressure to the opponent, so they generally do not laugh in serious occasions unless they really can't help it. Xiao Yan's shiny, bald head reflected the light under the sun, and more than half of the people laughed. These laughs reached Xiao Yan's ears, making him want to dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. This 3-year agreement was won, but it seemed that he also lost. He turned his head and looked at the culprit who caused all this. Old dog Yunling, you are looking for death. Xiao Yan roared with a furious face. King Meng felt his anger, and a bear sound came out of his head. The blazing green and white flames intertwined seemed to form Xiao Yan's hair. A headed Q version of Amon stood on his head, his round little face full of anger. Meng, it raised its fat and short little hand, and a beautiful fire lotus half the size of its own head appeared on its right hand. This is a 3-color fire lotus composed of the flames of Kinglian Earth Core Fire, Bone Spirit Cold Fire, and Amethyst Winged Lion King's Beast Fire. Although there is no infusion of Yao Chen's power, Xiao Yan's power is slightly weaker, but the fusion of flames, the destructive power it shows, is geometrically increased. According to the number of flames, especially for the alien fire, every time a different fire is integrated, its destructive power is particularly increased. Of course, the relative difficulty is also geometrically increased, and the skills and soul power required are the same. Originally, with Xiao Yan's current ability, it is not enough to send out such a fire lotus, and forcibly using it will only backfire on himself. But now with King Meng, all the problems can be solved. The fire lotus composed of 2 different fires, and 1 beast fire can already threaten Daowan. When launching the fire lotus, Xiao Yan also took a pill that increased his strength in a short period of time, allowing his Dao Qi to reach a level close to Dowling. The exquisite fire lotus exuded destructive energy fluctuations, and flew towards Yunleng with an unstoppable might. Even Dao Huang masters like Jia Xingchen and Fa Ma felt a strong threat from the small fire lotus. What kind of fighting skill is this? Fa Ma's face changed drastically. Fusing flames, he dared to do such a crazy thing. What is the little doll on Xiao Yan's head? Is it some kind of secret method? Jia Xingchen asked with some doubts. I don't know. It seems to have something to do with flames. Yun Leng, who was locked by the fire lotus and was the main target of the fire lotus, was even more horrified. He didn't think that Xiao Yan was the strong man who fought in Yancheng before, but just used this as an excuse. But now it seems that there seems to be a possibility that he hit the mark by accident. The small fire lotus gave him a fatal threat. Zuanayan, shield. Yan Leng formed seals with both hands while retreating rapidly. A large amount of fighting spirit gushed out and combined with the earth attribute energy between heaven and earth to form a huge rock shield several meters thick. On the rock shield, there were also patterns of long swords piercing through the clouds. Meng. King Meng shouted happily. The destructive power of the fire lotus burst out, and the terrifying power instantly bombarded the rock shield. The thick rock shield did not resist for long before it broke into pieces, decomposed into the most primitive energy, and disappeared. The burst of fire attribute power will cause the air to heat up rapidly, and the hot air will spread with the agitated dust, engulfing the nearest Yan Leng. A few seconds later, a figure flew out from the hot smoke and dust, and he stepped back several steps on the ground before he stood firm. Wow. Spit out a lot of blood, and his breath became weak. It was obvious that he was seriously injured. Yan Leng looked very miserable at this moment. Half of his hair and beard were burned, and there were large areas of burns on his skin. The blisters looked extremely ugly. Meng, looking at his own results, King Meng stood on one foot very happily and turned around. Xiao Yan's bald head. Yan Leng's miserable condition stunned everyone around. Yan Leng is the great elder of Yunlan sect, a high-level Dao Wang, and the third strongest person under the old sect master Yun Shan and the current sect master Yun Yun. If it weren't for the fact that only the sect master of Yunlan sect participated in the ranking of the top 10 strongest people in the Jia Empire, Yan Leng would definitely have a seat on this list. But such a strong man was actually severely injured by Xiao Yan. Nailin heart ached even more. What a good son-in-law. If he had known this, he would have tied his granddaughter to apologize. Mu Chen no longer had the heart to laugh at Nailin. He stared blankly at the deep pit in the middle of the square. He felt that, if it were him, he would probably be lying there. He looked at Muzan, whose eyes were almost popping out, and shook his head. Before, he often used Yan Xiao as an example, and educated Muzan as someone else's child. Now he thought that he was wrong. This is why he couldn't beat him, even if he went up. A trace of bitterness appeared on Alan Yanran's face. Although she knew that Xiao Yan had reserved his strength when fighting her, she didn't expect that he had reserved so much point. If this move was thrown at her, she would probably end up with nothing left. At this moment, all the laughter caused by Xiao Yan's bald head stopped abruptly. It doesn't really matter whether your head is bald or not, as long as you have the strength to shut everyone up. Stop him. Don't let him run away. Mo Cheng must have been killed by him. Yan Leng, who was seriously injured, shouted hysterically. Several Daowang elders of Yunlan sect looked at each other and flew into the sky together. The three of them did not dare to go too far away. The three of them were sure to block the fire lotus together, but if they were alone, Yan Leng would be a lesson. The guests who came to watch the battle thought that Yunlan sect was shameless before. Mo Cheng was at the Dowling level. It was ridiculous to use his death to hold a small Dao master accountable. But Xiao Yan's performance made them feel that Mo Cheng's suspicion seemed to be somewhat reasonable. The three Daowang strongmen approached Xiao Yan. One of them said, "Give up resistance, stay in Yunlan sect obediently, and wait for the sect master to come back to make a decision. The attack power of your fire lotus just now was indeed strong. None of us alone would be your opponent, but if we join forces, we can fight even the Daohuang strongmen." Another elder added, "The sect master is not a person who does not distinguish right from wrong. If you are really innocent, what can I do to you?" Xiao Yan looked at them with a cold face and did not speak. Just as Jia Xingshan was about to help, he saw He Bodong spread his wings behind him and soar into the sky. At the same time, he shouted loudly, "Xiao Yan is my brother. Who dares to touch him?" Jia Xingshan was stunned, thinking that old man, hey, you don't even care about your face. You actually call a young man who is so much younger than you a brother. But after thinking about it, he felt that Xiao Yan seemed to have the qualifications to be brothers with them. Without hesitation, he also flew forward and said loudly, "I'm afraid Yunlan sect's move is not appropriate. It's just your suspicion at the moment, and the same color of flame can't prove anything." The momentum of the two Daohuangs forced the three elders of Yunlan sect to retreat. Yun Leng's face changed, hesitated for a moment, took out a whistle, and blew it. Chapter 433. Nailin Yanran is eating melons. It's my turn. Yunshin pinched his right eye socket and said with a chuckle. A majestic aura rose from him, and he stepped on the air and rushed towards the square of Yunlin Mountain sect. Soon he arrived above the square. Seeing him standing in the air, Jia Zingshan's face became extremely ugly, and he said in a lost voice, Daozang. But soon he found that, although Yunshin's aura was strong, he had not yet broken through that boundary. Standing in the air, it seems that your cultivation has improved a lot. Jia Zingshan, who was wearing a linen robe, said solemnly. In Yunshin's current state, he would not be surprised when he entered Daozang. He was really infinitely close to that step. It's just that my understanding of the power of space has deepened a little, and there is still a gap from the realm of Daozang. A breeze surrounded Yunshin. He was not really standing in the air and still needed some wind as a support. Yunshin turned to look at Yunling and asked knowingly, what happened? Didn't I say that if there is nothing important, don't disturb my meditation? Old sect master, it's like this. Yunling used the spring and autumn style to describe what happened just now. He slightly exaggerated Xiao Yan's faults and arrogance and minimized the elder's aggressiveness. After listening, Yunshin looked at Xiao Yan. Are you Xiao Yan? Hello, sect master Yunshin. Xiao Yan bowed from a distance, neither humble nor arrogant. You have a good demeanor, but it's a pity that you are a little weak. Do you have any additions or rebuttals to what Yunling said? Xiao Yan smiled faintly. I'm afraid the old sect master has already made a decision in his heart. Why do you need to ask me again? Yunshin smiled. I know Yunling's personality, and I can only believe half of what he says. Over the years, he has done a lot of things on his own initiative, and I have seen them all, but it doesn't affect the overall situation, so I didn't pay attention to it. Yunling's face was covered with cold sweat. Knowing that this was a warning to himself, Xiao Yan frowned. So the old sect master won't stop me from going down the mountain. Yunshin shook his head, but he did the right thing this time. Xiao Yan, you can't leave yet. Xiao Yan's face turned cold. You Yunlin sect is too overbearing, right? Just relying on a guess without any real evidence. You want to force me to stay here. Jia Zingshan was extremely afraid of Yunshin's current state. Although he was also at the peak of Daohuang, it was still a long way to go for him to break through to Daozang, while Yunshin looked like he could break through at any time. This made him hesitate, not knowing whether he should continue to offend Yunlin sect because of Xiao Yan. He Bodong approached Xiao Yan a little bit and said righteously, I said, Xiao Yan is my brother. Whoever wants to touch him must first pass me. If you Yunlin sect insists on keeping him, then I can only learn from your tricks. Hey, Leo. Xiao Yan felt a little touched in his heart. He didn't expect He Bodong to defend himself so much under such circumstances. Jia Zingshan gritted his teeth and decided to continue to stand on the side of Xiao Yan and He Bodong. He had already stood up. If he retreated as soon as Yunshin came, wouldn't it weaken the momentum of the royal family? Xiao Yan bowed to him and said, thank you, Jia Leo. Xiao Yan will repay you for your help today. His words made Jia Zingshan's originally ugly face look better. Yunshin glanced at Farmer, who smiled faintly and shook his head. Our alchemist union does not participate in these disputes. It is just a place for alchemists to exchange learning experiences. Ling Ying, who was observing secretly, felt that Yunshin was powerful, but not the kind that could not be resisted, so he immediately appeared and came to Xiao Yan's side. The appearance of a strange Daohuang strongman immediately attracted the attention of everyone present. Xiao Yan asked with a little vigilance, what does the old man mean? Haha, I'm Ling Ying. My lady asked me to protect you. After the matter here is over, you have to go to see her quickly. Ling Ying laughed. It's Zina? Thinking of the beautiful figure who had been silently supporting him, Xiao Yan was a little absent-minded. You are not a strong man from the northwest region, right? Yunshin asked. Ling Ying responded. Yes, I'm from Zhangzhou. Although your breakthrough to Daozang is almost a sure thing, in Zhangzhou, a Daozang is nothing. Even Yun Potian back then was just barely worthy of the elders of my clan. Xiao Yan is the person that the young lady wants to protect, so I advise you not to make a mistake. Although Yan Jin was on the verge of becoming a Daozang, he was still not a Daozang. Soul Ling Ying was not so polite. He knew that Xiao Yan had a powerful soul body in Queen Medusa. If they really fought, Yunlin sect would not be their opponent. Ling Ying felt that even if Xiao Yan did not reveal those trump cards, Yan Jin would not choose to fight if he did not lose his mind. He stood up to boost Xiao Yan's momentum. In fact, to avoid a life and death battle with Yunlin sect and let the other side retreat. Teacher, lend me your power, Xiao Yan said to Yao Chen in his heart. Then, a terrible momentum rose from Xiao Yan's body, which was no less than the other four Daohuang masters. Jia Xingchen looked at him with surprise, and then smiled. His choice was right. Seeing such a scene, Yunlin finally began to panic. He Bodong, Jia Xingchen, Ling Ying, and Xiao Yan, whose strength had soared for some reason. Unexpectedly, what I thought was a trivial incident would turn out to be like this, and the sect would be provoked to four powerful warriors at the level of Daohuang in one fell swoop. If the two sides fight for it now, the Yunlin sect may be destroyed here. Thinking of this, Yunlin also felt scared and frightened. He trembled for a moment, with a look of struggle on his face. After hesitating for a long time, he stepped forward and said to Xiao Yan, I thought about it carefully just now. I'm afraid there may be another reason for Mo Cheng's death. It should be a misunderstanding. I'm sorry, Mr. Xiao Yan. Under such a situation, Yunlin finally bowed his head. He has a good reputation and loves to show off his authority, but he can also see the target clearly. The current balance of strength is very unfavorable to Yunlin sect, and they cannot allow him to continue to act recklessly. You won't stop me? Xiao Yan showed a slightly mocking smile. Yunlin gritted his teeth. I was confused and admitted the wrong person. Xiao Yan was about to leave when he heard Yan Jin's voice again. You can't leave yet. No matter what, you must stay in Yunlin sect today. His attitude was firm, and his tone was strong, and he did not compromise at all, because there were four fighting emperors opposite him. Yunlin looked at him in astonishment. He even apologized for the sake of his sect, but what did the old sect leader mean? He couldn't help but said, Old sect leader, what happened to Mo Cheng is Yunling's fault. I was too arbitrary. Yan Jin responded calmly, Mo Cheng is just an outside deacon who likes to be clever. He uses the name of my Yunlin sect to dominate the place. He will die because of other things matter. Jia Xingchen looked intently at Yan Jin, who exuded Ling Ran's power, with a trace of doubt on his face. Based on his understanding of Yan Jin, the other party is not someone who cannot clearly see the situation. If he dares to continue to block him, he must have something to rely on. Farmar's face, who was watching from the sidelines, also became serious. This battle seemed inevitable. He dared to face four powerful Daohuang warriors. Could it be that Yan Jin had some unknown and terrifying trump card? In the eyes of others who were either surprised, or gloomy, Yan Jin slowly spoke. Juno went to the Warcraft Mountains to get the purple spirit crystal. She came back and told me that she had made a private lifelong contract with a young man and gave him her first time. Over the years, she has been busy with the affairs of the Yunlin sect. She always puts the overall interests of the Yunlin sect first in everything, and has never asked me for anything. This time, she said she wanted to be willful. She knelt in front of me and begged me that, if a young man named Yao An came to Yunlin sect to propose marriage, she hoped I could agree. Xiao Yan's momentum suddenly weakened. His expression became unnatural. His eyes wandered, and he did not dare to look at Yan Shan. His eyes happened to meet Ling Ying's doubtful gaze, and his body froze. Suddenly remembering that there was a bodyguard sent by Zuna, his expression froze, and cold sweat could not stop flowing down his forehead. What to do? What to do? Xiao Yan felt panicked. He swore that he had never been so panicked, even when he faced Queen Medusa. As Xiao Yan's momentum disappeared, the originally tense atmosphere in the sky east. Hebadong also weakened his aura and looked at Yan Jin with a tacit smile. Malin Yanran paid close attention to the progress of the situation in the sky and showed great interest when Yan Jin suddenly mentioned her teacher's relationship issues. No battle between powerful warriors could attract her more than this. Chapter 434. Stop talking. Let's get married. Under such circumstances, Yan Jin suddenly mentioned this, which made everyone extremely puzzled and confused. Jia Xingshan and Farma, two experienced guys, suddenly thought of Xiao Yan's pseudonym Yan Xiao to participate in the alchemist conference, and couldn't help looking at him, stunned. This Yao Yan, could it be Xiao Yan's pseudonym? Ling Ying also thought of this possibility. From Jia Xingshan's eyes, looked at Xiao Yan in astonishment. And then a trace of anger emerged. Well, the lady treats you so sincerely, that she even disregards her own safety, and asks me to come and protect you. Let's not talk about Xiao Meng who grew up with you since childhood. You are still messing around outside. Seeing Ling Ying glaring at him, Xiao Yan could only respond with an awkward smile. Others in the square did not dare to think in this direction for the time being, but just looked puzzled. They were confused about Yan Jin's sudden mention of this at this moment. A strong momentum rushed over from a distance. Feeling the familiar breath. All the elders and disciples of Yunlan sect breathed a sigh of relief. If the old and current sect masters were both there, and if they cooperated with Yunlan sect's cloud mist covering the sun formation, the 4 Daohuang masters would not be unable to fight. Xiao Yan landed silently on the ground, picked up the wig, and put it on. A graceful figure floated over the square, and the speed dropped suddenly. Yan looked at the mess on the square, saw Nailin Yanren bleeding from her mouth in a corner of the square, and saw Yan Shan in the air, and a trace of doubt appeared on her beautiful face. Teacher, what happened? Nothing, just a little misunderstanding. Yan Shan showed a gentle smile on his face. Yan frowned slightly, glanced at the other 3 Daohuangs, and stayed on Heiboding and Ling Ying for a while longer. Since her teacher said it was a small misunderstanding, there was no big problem. Now she was most concerned about Nailin Yanren's situation. She landed from the air, folded her fighting wings, and came to a corner near the steps of the square. Yanren, are you okay? How about the 3-year agreement? Did you win? Nailin. Yanren shook her head and replied, sorry, teacher, I lost. How? Did you lose? Nothing. My skills are not as good as others. Compared with him, maybe I'm the loser. Nailin Yanren's face showed bitterness. Yan's eyebrows moved. She knew Nailin Yanren's temperament. If she just lost, she should feel guilty, then cheer up, and catch up. But she looked like she was hit, and the hit was not light. How big is the gap that makes her a disciple who has always been proud and unwilling to admit defeat, unable to catch up? How outstanding must the young man named Xiao Yan be? She subconsciously looked at the square, trying to find someone who defeated Nailin Yanren. Just when I was about to ask who was Xiao Yan, I unexpectedly saw a familiar face and greeted him with surprise and joy. Yao Yan. Why are you here too? Yao Yan. Yao Yan. Yao Yan. The name uttered by Yan echoed in everyone's ears. More than 1,000 pairs of eyes at the scene were all stunned and shocked and looked at the young man carrying the ancient ruler. Nailin Yanren's face was expressionless, her mouth slightly open, as if petrified. No wonder the master suddenly mentioned the teacher's emotional problems, and no wonder Xiao Yan's momentum weakened after hearing it. It turned out that Xiao Yan was Yao Yan. Wait, I said why Yan Xiao and Xiao Yan looked at me so strangely and familiarly before. It was clearly the same look that the teacher looked at me when I did something wrong before. But, is this your revenge on me? First, defeat me in the 3-year agreement, make it true that you divorced my wife instead of me, and then turn around and ask the master to marry my teacher. This revenge is really cruel. Yan Leng looked at Xiao Yan in horror, using Mo Cheng's matter to embarrass Xiao Yan and stop him from going down the mountain. Seemed to be a decision that couldn't be more on point. Why didn't you tell me earlier about this relationship? If I had known earlier, I would never invite guests, not even the disciples in the sect would come to watch the battle. Instead, I would close the door and secretly resolve this 3-year agreement. Xiao Yan scratched the back of his head awkwardly and smiled awkwardly. Oh, hello, Yanzi. No, Yunan, Yan. Yan smiled at him gently. Sorry, I used a pseudonym before, but it seems that you already know my true identity. Immediately, she suddenly found that the atmosphere around her was a little strange, and looked around in a daze. What's going on? Why do you all have that expression? Looking back at her own disciple, she found that she was also in a daze, and she suddenly had a bad premonition point at this time. Yan Jin laughed and said, "What do you think? Old man Hey? Old man Ja? And Mr. Ling, do you still want to stop me, Ja?" Xingchen shook his head after hearing this. "What is the way of your Yunlin sect?" The apprentice went to cancel the engagement and the master got together with the other party in the blink of an eye. He also wanted to make friends with Zhao Yan and create opportunities for Yaoi and Yaoi, but he found that it was all Yunlin sect's family affairs from beginning to end, and he suddenly felt a little bored. After sighing, he returned to Pharma and began to watch the development of the situation. Ling Ying frowned and responded, "My mission is to protect his safety. What do you want to do by keeping him here?" Yan Jin's mouth corners slowly lifted back, outlining a smile. "Of course, let him marry Juna. Juna looks like she will not marry anyone else. As a teacher, I naturally have to satisfy her wish." Ling Ying was silent for a moment and then said, "Since it will not endanger his safety, it is not within my responsibility." As he said that, he gave Zhao Yan a look that wished him the best. Yan Shan looked at Hey Bodden, who had not yet expressed his opinion. "What about you, Hey?" Bodden smiled slightly. "Even if you say so, I will still intervene in this matter. Today, I will make sure that he cannot leave Yunlin Mountain. I, Hey Bodden, will drink this wedding wine." Yan's face was flushed with shame when Yan Shan said that he wanted her to marry Yao Yan. Glanced at Zhao Yan and lowered his head, glanced at Zhao Yan again and lowered his head again. Zhao Yan didn't know what to say at this moment. He planned to be responsible for Yan, but he definitely didn't want to get married now. Zuna and Zhao Meng were still waiting for him at Canon College. He wanted to convince them first. If they got married now, Zhao Meng might be okay, but Zuna, I'm afraid there would really be no chance. A married person, if he wants to pursue asking Zuna, the resistance from her family will be terrible. Zhao Yan thought carefully. No matter who it is, he can't let go. For Yan, it is responsibility and a faint affection. For Zuna and Zhao Meng, it is a strong emotion after long-term companionship. Maybe I'm too greedy. He showed a self-deprecating smile and then became firm. Sometimes, people can't help but be greedy. After a long silence, he said to Yan that, Yan, I actually used a pseudonym. My real name is Zhao Yan. Chapter 435. Zhao Yan is really nothing. After Zhao Yan said his real name, Yan was stunned. Her eyes became blank, and she looked at Nail and Yanran and other people in the square at a loss. Zhao Yan, she repeated the name, as if she hadn't recovered from her shock. After a while, she regained her senses. Her ears turned red. She looked at Zhao Yan with a complex expression, and asked softly, "You proposed marriage to my teacher? What happened just now?" Zhao Yan replied fluently, "No, after the 3-year contract, I was about to go down the mountain, but that guy Yun Leng insisted on stopping me and wouldn't let me go. There was some conflict, and I injured him. He called your teacher out. Your teacher seemed to know that I was Yan Zhao and wanted to keep me here to marry you." Yun glanced at the cloud mountains in the sky and was moved. She knew that her teacher had always put the sect first, and his lifelong goal was to make the Yunlin sect more powerful and recreate the glory of the ancestor Yun Potian's time. But such a teacher who is dedicated to his career is actually willing to make concessions for himself. Recalling how kind her teacher was to her when she was a child, and recalling the warm smile he used to comfort her when she was depressed, Yun felt a little guilty again. Am I too willful? Moreover, Yao Yan is still Zhao Yan, Yan Ran's former fiancé. What kind of words does this sound like? If word spreads, Yunlin sect will become a laughing stock. Yun glanced at Zhao Yan with a complicated expression and said softly, "I'm sorry." Immediately, she flew to Yunshin and said softly, "Teacher, it was Juna who was wrong before. I was too willful. Let's forget about this marriage. I'm the head of the Yunlin sect, and I have to consider the reputation of the Yunlin sect." Yunshin smiled gently and said, "It doesn't matter, Juna. How can the reputation of Yunlin sect compare to your happiness? And it's too late now. I just told you and Zhao Yan about being in the Warcraft Mountains." Yun's face froze. She opened her mouth and asked tremblingly, "What things?" "It's because you gave him your first time. I think this kid seems to want to run away. If I don't say this, I'm afraid I won't be able to keep him." Yunshin replied with a smile. Yun's vision went dark, and she almost fell from the air. "Teacher, why do you keep talking about everything?" She staggered down from the air. In a daze. After the initial shock, the crowd in the square was already in a frenzy, with whispers and chatter everywhere. "What? The sect master was captured by Xiao Yan." A disciple was shocked. "Then, how should the young sect master face him in the future? Tell me, is it possible that Xiao Yan pursued the young sect master in order to retaliate against the sect master and embarrass her? Didn't the sect master pursue Xiao Yan? Didn't you see that the old sect master was preparing to force him to stay and get married? Xiao Yan wants to rebel against the sect leader and finally abandon him?" Someone else said, "Judging from the actions of the old sect master, it seems that this is indeed the case." The person next to him nodded. "Then, during this 3-year agreement, could it be that the young sect leader is going to break off the engagement as rumored by the outside world, but that guy Xiao Yan wants to divorce his wife? Didn't you see it? Senior Sister Nailin has kept that divorce letter until today. It must be because it is a great shame. She has been working hard to survive. It's a pity that Xiao Yan's talent is too terrifying." This 3-year agreement finally failed. Someone shook his head and sighed. There were indeed rumors in Wutan City that this was a divorce rather than an annulment of the engagement. Several disciples exchanged in disgust and looked at each other, feeling that they and others might have touched the truth. Yan Jin suddenly sighed and said apologetically, "Sorry, Yanran, I have always misunderstood you. Alas, you still don't tell us the truth about such a big matter. There is no need to bear it silently. I never thought that Xiaolin, who had lived an upright life, would have such a grandson. He is simply not a son of man." Listening to her grandfather's angry words, Nailin Yan said in confusion. Nailin Ji shook his head again and said, "Forget it. My Nailin family can't bear such a genius. I never thought the truth would be like this. That boy Xiao Yan has long been interested in sect master Yunan. So he is dissatisfied with this marriage, and then deliberately spreads rumors that he has lost all his talents to lure you there. But you listened to the rumors for 3 years and remained unmoved. It wasn't until 3 years ago that you went to visit him. Unexpectedly, he stopped pretending and wrote a letter of divorce in public, expelling you from the Xiao family. You were dissatisfied with his contempt and humiliation, so you made a 3-year agreement with him. Yanran, am I right?" Grandpa, wait, no, Nailin. Yanran was stunned for a moment, unable to react, and then waved her hands in denial. The Nailin family said with a cold face, "Yanran, how long do you want to hide this matter from me now? I know your temperament well. With your arrogance, how could you admit such a shameful thing as being divorced by others? So you deliberately lied and said that you broke off the engagement yourself, right, Nailin?" Yanran shook her head repeatedly. "No, Grandpa, it really isn't. Did Xiao Yan write the divorce letter himself?" Nailin Ji said coldly. Yanran nodded and then wanted to explain when she heard Nailin Ji ask again, "Did you take the initiative to propose this 3-year agreement, Nailin?" Yanran nodded hesitantly and opened her mouth, trying to explain the reason, but Nailin Ji waved his hand. "Don't make excuses. I know you will take it all for your master's sake, but I'm your grandfather. I know you, Nailin." Yanran looked dazed and confused. "So this is the truth of the 3-year agreement. If I were not the person involved, I might have believed it. If Xiao Yan had taken the initiative to propose a divorce, it might have really unfolded as Grandpa said." Nailin Yanran thought in her heart. She suddenly recalled that when she went to the Xiao family, Xiao Yan seemed to be flirting with another girl from the Xiao family and his maid in front of her. Could it be that Xiao Yan really didn't want this marriage from the beginning? No, his anger and unwillingness at that time didn't seem to be pretended. Nailin Yanran suddenly laughed at herself and threw away the messy thoughts in her mind. At least one thing is certain, she did go to the Xiao family with the purpose of breaking off the engagement, and she was the one who first proposed the request for breaking off the engagement. Although the discussion was quiet, Xiao Yan heard it clearly. He opened his mouth, not knowing who to defend himself to. He felt that his reputation was heading in a strange direction. He scratched his head and smiled bitterly. In front of Yan Yan, he vowed to be responsible for her, but in his heart he was still thinking about Zuna and Xiao Meng. It seemed that he was really a bit bad. Chapter 436 3 Years and 3 Years. Yan Jin looked at Xiao Yan and said in a kind tone, "Don't even think about going down the mountain today. Let's finalize this marriage with Juna." Xiao Yan took a step back, took a deep breath, and said in a deep voice, "I'm sorry, Master Yan Jin. I will be responsible for Yan Yan's affairs, but not now. I will definitely come to Yunlin sect in the future to give Yan Yan a explain." Yan Jin's face turned cold, and there was a hint of anger in his voice. "Juna is so affectionate to you. Is this how you repay her? Or do you think the majestic Yunlin sect leader is not worthy of you?" I. Xiao Yan stuttered a little, paused, organized his words and responded, "I'm not worthy of Yan Yan now. Because there is someone else I love, Malin." Yanran suddenly remembered the girl who was as elegant as a lotus when she went to the Xiao family 3 years ago, and the maid in black who had always protected Xiao Yan. Is it one of them? Or both of them? In the past, I secretly laughed at them for their lack of vision, but now it seems that I'm the real fool. Yan Jin chuckled. It doesn't matter. So what if a real man has 3 wives and 4 concubines? Juna is not a petty person. Even if you take in a few more concubines, Juna won't care. Xiao Yan's eyes wandered, and he did not answer. Yan Jin's shallow smile gradually faded. "Why, do you still want Juna to be your concubine? I admit that your talent is something that even I have never seen before, but if you want to wrong Juna, you are not qualified." Xiao Yan glanced at Yan Yan and saw her looking at him sadly, then glanced at Ling Ying and saw him staring at him expressionlessly, with cold sweat flowing down. He spoke very quietly and without any confidence. "That's not what I meant. I want to convince them first." Seeing that Xiao Yan had other emotional debts, Yan Yan stepped forward and said, "Teacher, let's send this matter. From now on, I will only be the leader of Yunlin sect, and I will not be anyone else. Yunzi, just pretend that he never existed." What's more, Yunzi knows Yao An, and only Yao An, not Xiao Yan of the Xiao family who was Yanran's fiancé. There was a hint of determination in her tone. Yan Jin raised his right hand and said softly, "Juna, please step back and leave this place to me. You are the sect master of Yunlin sect and my disciple. He not only wants to give you an explanation, but also I will give an explanation to Yunlin sect." Xiao Yan stared at Yan Jin with a calm expression on his face. Although he looked calm, he was very flustered in his heart. He wanted Yao Chen to ask for help. "Teacher, what should I do? Help me think of a solution." Yao Chen was slightly absent-minded. He always felt that he seemed to have forgotten something. Then he recovered immediately and sighed. "I've never experienced this kind of situation, so there's no point in asking me. Why don't you just accept it and have more children, more blessings? As for your little girlfriend, we'll get there. When we get there, we'll talk about it later." Just when Xiao Yan was at a loss, Yan Jin spoke, "How about we make another 3-year agreement?" Xiao Yan subconsciously looked at Nailin Yanran. The latter blinked his eyes, looking very confused. Yan Jin continued, "This time, your opponent is me. 3 years later, come to Yunlin sect and fight me. If you win, so what if Juna makes you a kid? If you lose, then just stay and marry Juna. Juna, do you have any objection?" Yan hesitated for a moment, then said respectfully, "But it depends on the teacher's arrangement." The elders and disciples of Yunlin sect were stunned when they heard such conditions. No matter what, Xiao Yan would make money. The one who was most stunned was Malin Yanran. No matter what the situation was, she would have to be a generation younger in front of Xiao Yan, break off the engagement, and give herself a master. Those who were invited to watch the battle also cast envious glances at Xiao Yan. Yan Yan could be said to be the most noble woman in the Jama Empire. Only Jia Xingshan stared at Yan Jin with a solemn expression. What a plan. No matter what happens, Yunlin sect will not lose. At such a young age, Xiao Yan powerfully defeated Yunling, a high-level fighting king, and then used unknown methods to burst out the fighting king aura. With such talent, his future achievements will be limitless in Yunshan's current state. I'm afraid it would take only Dao Zong's fighting power to defeat him. If Xiao Yan wins 3 years later, it means that he has a fighting power comparable to that of the Dao Zhang, and that his future is much more than that. Then even if Yun becomes a concubine, it will be beneficial to the Yunlin sect point. If Xiao Yan loses, it is normal for Xiao Yan to lose. In the current Jiamar Empire, it may be difficult to find someone who can defeat Yunshan. This does not affect the fact that Xiao Yan is a genius, and he is still worthy of Yun. He looked back at Yaoyu, who showed admiration for Xiao Yan behind him, and sighed. If it were Nalan Yanran, she could still compete, but as for Yun, there is no comparison between the two of them. Seeing that Yun Shandu had gone so far as to say what he said, Xiao Yan could no longer refuse. He gritted his teeth and said, in 3 years, I will come to Yunlan sect to give you an explanation. Do you want to defeat Yunshan within 3 years? So courageous. A voice full of charm sounded. The colorful sky-swallowing python emerged from Xiao Yan's cuffs, and in a flash of light, it transformed into an enchanting and charming woman who made people feel angry at the sight of her. Jia Xingshan's eyes widened. Fighting spirit surged in his body, and he subconsciously made a defensive posture. Queen Medusa. People who were originally surprised by the sudden appearance of a beautiful woman next to Xiao Yan took a deep breath when they heard the name Queen Medusa. Is this the love rival of the sect master? A disciple of Yunlin sect guessed. Is Xiao Yan too powerful? No, I mean he is too fickle. The male disciple wanted to say that Xiao Yan was a role model for his generation, but when he saw the glance of the female disciple next to him, he immediately changed his words. Malin Ji stroked his beard, sighed lightly, and said to Malin Yanran, maybe you should stay away from that guy. Look at the women around this kid. Malin Yanran remained silent. Yun frowned and said in a deep voice, Queen Medusa, how dare you show up here? We haven't settled the score with you for Guhi yet. Heh. Guhi died from the backlash of the strange fire. What does it have to do with me? Speaking of which, the strange fire on his body is the strange fire that Guhi once wanted but couldn't get, and eventually died because of it. Medusa replied with a faint smile on her face. Yun Shan's fighting spirit surged. We don't welcome you in Yunlan sect. You are probably also responsible for Guhi's death, right? Medusa said lazily in a numb voice. Do you think I want to come to Yunlan sect? It's just my duty. By the way, I'm now the bodyguard hired by Mr. Xiao Yan, the kind that protects him closely for 24 hours. Swish. Countless eyes shot towards Xiao Yan again, among which the two from Yun and Ling Ying were particularly sharp, making him feel uneasy. Chapter 437. Going down the mountain. After Medusa appeared, the atmosphere became even weirder. Although she said she was a bodyguard, having her next to a man was a very imaginative thing. Coupled with her charming tone just now, it is difficult for people not to think about the relationship between her and Xiao Yan and other places. Yun even subconsciously adopted the mentality of looking at her opponent. The appearance of Queen Medusa did not cause any more changes, and most people stayed away from her under everyone's strange gazes. Xiao Yan said to Yunshan, old sect master, this 3-year agreement has ended, so Xiao Yan will leave first. Yunshan nodded, with a rather strange smile on his face. I will wait for you for the next 3 years. Xiao Yan's body froze, then returned to normal immediately. He turned around and walked down the mountain. Medusa always followed him, keeping a few steps away. Arriving at the foot of Yunlin Mountain, Xiao Yan asked with vigilance in his eyes, Your Majesty, what are you doing here? Medusa smiled charmingly, protect your safety. The corner of Xiao Yan's mouth twitched. He always felt that Medusa appeared in that situation to make others misunderstand something and to cause trouble for him. After the 3-year agreement ended, Xiao Yan not only failed to relax, but his heart became even heavier, because there are bigger problems to solve. The next opponent of the 3-year agreement is Yunshan, a strong man at the peak of Daohuan. To him before, this was just a name in distant legends. No, He is in a state where he may break through at any time. In 3 years' time, if nothing else happens, you will probably have to face Daozang Yunshin. Yao Chen's voice sounded in Xiao Yan's heart. Xiao Yan's expression froze, and the smile on his face became more bitter. Daozang, just 2 words, almost made him breathless. It really doesn't let people breathe for a moment. Xiao Yan sighed, and then asked with some expectation, "Teacher, is there any way for me to become stronger quickly? Since the agreement has been made, I should abide by it. I need to give Yan an explanation." In the bone flame ring, Yao Chen looked troubled. It was not difficult to teach a talented disciple to become a Dao sect, but in just 3 years, it was simply difficult to teach a great Dao master to become a Dao sect. Ascend to heaven. Yao Chen thought about it for a while and said, "This is too difficult for me, an old man like me. If it were someone else, I'm afraid there's no chance." You still have some hope. The burning technique you practice is very special. When you absorb the strange fire, you can also refine the huge energy contained in it and improve your own cultivation. If you can find 2 more kinds of strange fires, you will probably be able to reach the level of Daowang in 3 years. With your terrifying strange fire fusion fighting skills, it is not impossible to defeat a Daozang. 2 kinds of strange fire. Xiao Yan sighed softly. It is extremely difficult for ordinary people to obtain one of the wonders of heaven and earth such as strange fires. How easy is it to obtain 2 kinds of strange fires within 3 years? However, having a thought is better than nothing. Medusa suddenly said. The 2 at the back, "Aren't you tired from flying in the sky?" Heibadang laughed. "Aren't we worried about disturbing you?" And little brother Xiao Yan, "Hey, Boding controlled by Amon would not be as afraid of her as the original Heiboding." So he joked. Medusa narrowed her eyes slightly. "It seems that you have become much bolder after breaking through the seal." When he landed on the ground and got close to Xiao Yan and Queen Medusa, Amon, who was parasitically controlling Heiboding, suddenly felt a hint of fear from this body. He couldn't help but be stunned. How afraid was Heiboding of Medusa? Xiao Yan set his sights on Heiboding and asked, "What are Heibo's plans for the future?" Amon controlled Heibodong's body and answered, "I should be stationed in the Mitre family in the Jayama imperial capital from now on. As for the purple spirit pill, when you collect enough medicinal materials, refine it and ask someone you trust to deliver it to you. You will probably leave the Gamma Empire in the future to go to other places for training, right? Otherwise, there is no hope of defeating Yunshin. While you are away, I will ask the Mitre auction house in Wutan City to take care of the Xiao family of Xiao." Yan nodded, bowed to Heibodang, and said seriously, "Old Hei, Xiao Yan will remember your help during this period. If there is any need in the future, I will do my best to help you. Okay, if you need anything, you can come to the Mitre family to find me. Let's say goodbye today." A pair of ice blue fighting wings appeared behind Heiboding. Before he left, Xiao Yan said again, "There are too many things that happened today, which makes me a little overwhelmed." Leo went to the imperial capital. When he saw Leo, "Tell him for me that Leo is loyal and loyal. Xiao Yan is also mindful, I understand." Heibodong flapped his wings and disappeared into the sky. Then, Xiao Yan looked at Ling Ying, who had a somewhat dark face. "Mr. Ling, what's next?" "Haha, I still need to go back to Miss Xiao Meng," Ling Ying said with a smile. "I will tell Miss every word, what I saw and heard." "Well, Miss Xiao Meng will probably know too. Please be patient, Master Xiao Yan." Xiao Yan's face fell, and he showed a smile that was uglier than crying. "I don't know what you are going to say, Mr. Ling. Please be merciful. I have to listen to Mrs. orders." "Don't worry, I won't be jealous. I will only report the truth objectively, including Master Xiao Yan. Your affair with sect leader Yan Ling." Ying glanced at Queen Medusa, "including Queen Medusa's 24-hour personal protection for you." Xiao Yan's eyes lost focus. There was no need to add any fuel or jealousy. The objective statement alone was scary enough. He suddenly felt a little afraid of Cannon College. Putting away that teasing smile, Ling Ying said seriously, "If you want to pursue Miss, you must make yourself stronger as quickly as possible. Otherwise, even if Miss is willing, the elders in the clan will not agree on This continent, without strength, you can't even be with the person you like. If you can defeat Yan Jin in 3 years, then there is some possibility of pursuing the lady, Zhao. Yan's face became solemn. 3 years later, he was only 21 years old. It was only slightly possible to defeat Dao Zhang at such an age. How terrifying is Zuna's background, he said seriously. Thank you, Mr. Ling, for informing me. I will work hard. Ling, I nodded. Then I won't stay any longer. The Yunlin sect has finished its work. With your current strength, you probably won't encounter any danger in the Jama Empire, so I will leave first. Zhao. Yan hesitated and swallowed the word several times. Ling Ying chuckled. You want to talk about your emotional debt, right? Don't worry, the lady may care a little, but she won't take it too seriously. What she cares about is only your feelings for her, and whether you are qualified. Come to my clan to marry her openly. After saying that, Ling Ying dodged a few times, blended into the shadows of the woods beside the road, and disappeared. Yao Chen's voice sounded in Zhao Yan's heart. It seems that your little girlfriend's status in their clan is not simple. Otherwise, it should be enough. Teacher, do you know Zuna's origin? Zhao Yan couldn't help but ask. Well, I can probably guess something. If that's the case, the gap between you now is quite big. Yao Chen sighed. How big is it? Zhao Yan asked. It's hard to say. It depends on her specific status in the clan. Well, be safe and aim for a high level Dao Zun. Yao Chen's words stirred up a storm in Zhao Yan's heart. Dao Zun, does he have to be a high level one? So how terrifying is Zuna's family? Yao Chen smiled. That is one of the forces that truly stands at the top of this Daoqi continent. It is not comparable to the Yunlin sect in this corner. Chapter 438 Zhao Family 039 S Extermination Plan. At Yunlin sect, as Zhao Yan left, the other guests also dispersed one by one except for Jia Xingchen, who looked gloomy, because Yunlin sect would have another young talent. The others were talking about the scenes that had happened before. Zhao Yan contributed too many things worth discussing for them. For example, who was the young lady mentioned by the mysterious Dao Huang Lingying, and who had the power to send a Dao Huang strongman to protect others. 4. Example, what did Zhao Yan pay to allow Queen Medusa to protect her 24 hours a day, and would anything else happen during this close protection, such as real close protection and the like? Of course, the hottest topic is naturally the emotional entanglement between Yan, the current leader of Yunlin sect, and Zhao Yan and Nalan Yanran. What is the truth behind the 3-year agreement? Did Nalan Yanran go to the Zhao family to break off the engagement, or did Zhao Yan hook up with Yan and dislike the young leader, so he divorced his wife first? In the past, at the beginning, there were 2 versions circulating in Wutan City, but because Nalan Yanran had better talent and more power, people believed more in the divorce version. Now, the situation is reversed. Zhao Yan showed great talent and strength, and the power behind him seemed to be no smaller than that of Yunlin sect, so the divorce version gradually became the mainstream. In the past, when Zhao Yan walked on the streets of Wutan City, people would point at him and say, look, that's the waist of the Zhao family who was divorced by the Nalan family. In the future, when today's events spread more widely, it should be Nalan Yanran walking on the streets of the imperial capital, and people would point at her and say, look, the young master of the Zhao family fell in love with her teacher, so he wrote a letter of divorce to divorce her. After the outsiders left, Yan Jin said to Yunling, the prestige of Yunlin sect cannot be improved by this means. Go to the pill hall to get a 5th grade healing medicine. Before doing things in the future, think about the gains of success and the losses of failure. Don't be blindly optimistic. Yes. Yunling retreated. Yunshin glanced at Yunnan and whispered, you have a good vision. After that, he flew into the sky and flew towards the back mountain of Yunlin sect. Yunnan and Nalan Yanran were left, staring at each other. After a while, they suddenly spoke together. Teacher, Yanran. After a moment of silence, they said together, you speak first. Yunnan sighed and whispered, oh, forget it. Let's not talk about it. Maybe we should all calm down and think about it carefully. Nalan Yanran said with a bit of sadness, teacher, I wish you all the best. Yunnan was slightly stunned. Yanran, don't you object. Nalan Yanran smiled bitterly. What qualifications do I have to object? After a pause, she suddenly said, teacher, I want to enter the gate of life and death. Yunan's expression became serious. Yanran, you should know the dangers. Those who are qualified to enter the gate of life and death are all the most elite disciples of my Yunlin sect, but those who can come out alive, but less than 30%. Nalan Yanran had a stubborn look on her face. She said, I'm unwilling to give up. There is such a big gap between him and me. If I don't even dare to take this little risk, how can I catch up? You are against him. It has nothing to do with feelings. I just don't want to admit defeat. It's a bit difficult for me to accept that I'm so far behind a person of the same age. Yun thought for a while and responded, in the past, most of the disciples who came out of the gate of life and death were at the peak of Daoling to the early stage of Daowang, but Yun Leng was defeated by him. I still want to go. At least, I can narrow the gap a little. Yun nodded. Since you insist on doing so, I won't object. That night, the bright moon hung high in the sky, casting a cool moonlight. The evening breeze blew by, bringing bursts of coolness in the depths of Yunlin Mountain. Yunshin stood on the edge of the cliff, looking down at the mountains and forests below that stretched for an unknown distance. His eyes were deep, and the wind blew his moon-white robe point beside him. A young man also wearing moon-white clothes sat on a large blue stone, his legs hanging down casually, stroking the monocle on his right eye, with a smile on his lips. TSK, it's really a good show. It's very interesting. By the way, have you seen the Gate of Life and Death? Is there anything interesting? Yunshin answered without hesitation. I've been there a long time ago. Nothing special, just the inheritance left by the successive masters of the Yunlin sect. Some skills, fighting skills, insights and so on. The Gate of Life and Death is actually a space blocked by Yun Potian. The danger mainly comes from the monsters living in it, and the tests set in the inheritance caves everywhere. Hehe. A familiar laugh came from a distance. Before the person arrived, the laughter had already echoed in the mountains. A figure covered with black fog, with an unclear face, and even blurred limbs, appeared in front of Yun Meng and Yunshin. I've also heard about what happened in your Yunlin mountain. You don't look like you want to make enemies with the Xiao family. Please be patient, Dharma Protector. Since you Soul Palace have some concerns, we Yunlin sect will not dare to act recklessly. We can fully support the local forces in Wutan City, instigate them to take action, and then use their cover to attack secretly. Yun Meng said with a chuckle. Who is this guy? Let him know our contact. Is it okay? Dharma Protector Wu looked at Yunshin point. Although he could not see the situation under the black fog, Yunshin could feel a gaze on him, and he replied, this is my close disciple, Yun Meng. After a while, I will retreat to attack that barrier. If you need anything during this period, you can contact him in my Yunlin sect. It seems that you trust him very much. Guardian Wu looked at Yun Meng. Dharma Protector, the current image of Yunlin sect in the Jama Empire is still relatively positive. But for some dark things, someone has to take over. You can understand that I'm the darkness of Yunlin, and I specialize in doing this. Some dirty work, Yun Meng said with a smile. Gee, you are so brave. You actually said in front of me that working for my Soul Palace is dirty work. Guardian Wu pressed towards Yun Meng with a hint of momentum point. The latter's face turned pale. He let out a muffled groan, and then looked at the bird protector without changing his expression. HMPH, this calmness is quite good. Guardian Bird said calmly. Yun Meng bowed slightly and said, thank you so much for the compliment, Protector. Can you give me some time to tell you about this operation against the Xiao family? You say, Yun Meng slowly said. In Wutan City, in addition to the Xiao family, there are two other families with comparable strength, namely the Jiali family and the Oba family. Especially the Jiali family, which has always been the same as the Xiao family. Discord. About 2 years ago, the Jiali family hired Liuz, a first-grade alchemist, to refine healing medicine, to attack the Xiao family's industry. Hearing this, Protector Ye felt an unreal sense of disillusionment. In the Soul Palace, in addition to some strong men recruited from outside, there are also some disciples of the Soul Clan. Guardian Wu can be entrusted with such an important task. to deal with the Zyro family. Naturally, he is also a member of the Soul clan. He knows some details about the Zyro family and knows that this family was the most powerful one that even the Soul clan was afraid of thousands of years ago. One of the family point, but from what Yan Meng said, it was so embarrassing that a small first grade alchemist could attack the Zyro family. Yan Meng continued, the alchemist Liuz died in Wutan City, probably at the hands of the Zyro family. He had a third grade alchemy master. I will ask Yan Leng to contact this third grade alchemist and have this alchemist secretly contact the Jia family and the Oba family and order them to work together to eradicate the Zyro family. Your Soul Palace personnel can work together as this alchemist's subordinates action. In this way, the annihilation of the Zyro family is ostensibly the result of the Jia family colluding with the Oba family to eliminate a competitor. If someone traces the truth, he will find that the driving force behind it is an alchemist who wants to avenge his apprentice. If you go deeper, Yan Ling will be involved. And Yan Ling's motive is to retaliate against Zyro Yan for injuring him and making him look embarrassed. If we continue to investigate further, we will find that Yan Ling is just a pawn and the real murderer behind the scenes is my teacher. He was worried that after Zyro Yan married his senior sister, the Yunlun sect would change his surname to Zyro, so he exterminated the Zyro family to cut off his worries and let him devote himself wholeheartedly to the development of the Yunlun sect. I think no one can investigate this last layer. There have been too many opportunities to cut off connections before. As for Zyro Yan who is traveling abroad, I don't think there is any need for us. If there is any accident, it is normal for him to die quietly, or 3 years later, the teacher will kill him in battle. Looking at Yan Meng who was smiling, the guardian bird couldn't help but take a breath of cold air and felt a little wary of this young man who only had the strength of a great fighting master. After a while, he said in a strange tone, you are too cautious. Be careful and you won't make a big mistake. Yan Meng responded with a slight smile. Then, I'll do as you say. Guardian bird nodded. He suddenly felt that their work in the Soul Palace was still too rough, leaving many traces in many places. But after thinking about it, it seems that there is no need to go to so much trouble. Under normal circumstances, it doesn't matter if you leave some traces, and it won't have much impact if it is discovered. But this time, because the target is the Zyro family, we need to be more cautious. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 439 The Mastermind Behind This is. Chapter 439 The mastermind behind the scenes is, in a secluded canyon in the Warcraft Mountains. There is a deep underground passage on one side of the mountain wall. The slope of the passage is not large, and moonstones are inlaid on the walls, emitting a shining white light. After passing through the passage, it suddenly became open, with thick stone pillars supporting the dome. An even larger, brighter, and denser moonstones illuminating the underground space. On the surrounding rock walls, there are spacious circular corridors that go up in circles, with a total of 9 floors. On the side of the corridor close to the stone wall are stone rooms with different functions. Some stone chambers are for people to live in, while others are reinforced with special materials and used for training and fighting skills. In the center of this underground space is a huge square where people can compete. On the highest corridor, Wu Meng and Zyro Zhen stood side by side. Looking at the young people of the Zyro family who were undergoing actual combat training in the square, Wu Meng asked casually, are you used to living here these days? What do you think of this new tribe? Zyro Zhen hesitated for a moment and said, Ancestor, this underground space is certainly very nice, but it always feels depressing after not seeing sunlight for a long time. We adults are fine, but I'm worried that the children will get sick if they stay in such an environment for a long time. Wu Meng responded with a smile. Now I just want you to adapt to the living environment. Although this place is relatively inside the Warcraft Mountains, the surroundings are not actually dangerous. The 6th level monster that rules here has reached an agreement with me. It will also live in and help take care of the clan. I will take you to get to know it later. With its existence, you can explore the surrounding area, and the children can also play in the valley outside. But this is the Warcraft Mountains after all, so you have to pay attention to safety and send someone to look after it. 6th level monster. Xiao took a deep breath to calm down the excitement in his heart. A 6th level magical beast is equivalent to a powerful human fighting emperor. According to Xiao Yuanshan's ancestor, it seems that he has found the 6th level magical beast to guard the clan's land. If this is the case, then he is safe in this Warcraft mountain range. No other monster would dare to approach the residence of a 6th level monster, and the tribesmen could safely move around in areas that were not too far away. Wu Meng smiled and said, "Come with me. Although it is only a 6th level monster, it is still quite strong for you. I will not stay in the clan for too long, so you should go there in person." More sincere, it's just a 6th level monster. Such an adjective made Xiao feel shocked when he heard it. I really don't know what kind of state the ancestor Xiao Yuanshan is. It's a pity that we descendants are unworthy, let alone the 6th level magic beast. I'm afraid that even a 4th level magic beast can cause heavy losses to the current Xiao family. He sighed silently. With Wu Meng led Xiao down the steps step by step to the lowest level of the circular corridor, passed through the central square, walked through the long and narrow upward diagonal passage, and came to the ground. Clan leader, ancestor. The two Xiao family members guarding the entrance of the passage greeted them. After the two nodded, they walked deeper into the canyon. After walking for a long time, they came to a hillside. Next to a huge rock on the hillside, there were two lions with sharp horns on their heads, purple crystals on their bodies, and flames on their forehooves. There are two lions, one big and one small. The big one is nearly 20 meters long, and the spiral horn on its head is cut off by something unknown. There is a white circle on the right eye of both monsters. Wu Meng introduced to Xiao. This is the Amethyst Winged Lion King, the 6th level monster that I reached an agreement with. He looked at the Amethyst Winged Lion King again. Lion King, this is Xiao, the leader of the Xiao clan. I will not stay in the clan for a long time. He will communicate with you about anything in the future. Looking at the huge Amethyst Winged Lion King exuding Lingran's power, Xiao couldn't help but swallow his saliva. After calming down, he stepped forward and cupped his hands. I've seen the Lion King. Hello, Chief Xiao. The Amethyst Winged Lion King changed his lying posture and stood up. It looked at Wu Meng and confirmed to him, "Senior, according to the agreement, I will guard the clan land for your Xiao clan for 10 years. You give me 2 transformation pills. Isn't that right?" The Amethyst Winged Lion King has been parasitically controlled by Amon. Its problems are told to Xiao so that he can have peace of mind. After hearing this, Xiao took a breath of cold air. Even a layman like him had heard of the transformation pill, a famous pill. It was a 7th grade pill. Even if he sold the entire Xiao family, he wouldn't be able to get even one. Wu Meng nodded. Well, not only inside the cave, but also in the valley outside, you need to pay attention to the safety and not let too powerful monsters approach. The Xiao clan has already arranged the arrangements. If the Lion King has nothing else to do, he can come over. Okay. The Amethyst Winged Lion King nodded its huge head. The 2 men and 2 beasts walked towards the Xiao family. After returning to the clan, the 2 people guarding the entrance to the passage looked at the huge Amethyst Winged Lion King, feeling very nervous. One person asked with some fear, "Clan leader, what is this?" "You should go back to the clan first and gather all the clan members. The clan leader has something to announce." Wu Meng ordered. Yes. The 2 hurriedly ran inside. Arriving at the empty underground square, they waited for a while. After everyone from the Xiao family arrived, Xiao began to introduce the Amethyst Winged Lion King to them. This is the Amethyst Winged Lion King. It was invited by our ancestors to protect my Xiao family. It will live with us. When you see the Lion King, don't be afraid. It will not hurt the people of my Xiao family, but you need to keep it safe. Be respectful and don't be rude. As Xiao Yuanshan, the ancestor of the Xiao family, Wu Meng did not appear many times in the general affairs of the Xiao family, and usually communicated through Xiao Zhan. Point 1 is to maintain a sense of mystery, and the other is to strengthen Xiao Zhan's authority. Point in some matters, letting Xiao Zhan participate with his own will can confuse the public and make others think that this is a Xiao clan's plan and Xiao Zhan's plan. Moreover, Amon will slowly cultivate Xiao Zhan's thinking mode, instill some of his ideas into Xiao Zhan, and then gradually delegate power, allowing Xiao Zhan to think and make decisions on his own. Point Amon only provided small guidance during Xiao Zhan's decision-making process. Xiao Zhan himself felt that he was the one who made many plans. In this way, when some conspiracies are exposed in front of other ancient races in the future, they will find that the mastermind behind the scenes is actually the declined and inconspicuous patriarch of the Xiao clan. Chapter 440 Hometown and Emperor Dao. The Xiao family members looked at the purple crystal-winged Lion King from afar, with fear and respect in their eyes. A little child looked at the giant beast in front of him with innocent and pure eyes, and her eyes slowly moved down and placed on the little purple crystal-winged Lion King. Did Uncle Xiao Zhan just say that they are our guardians and will not hurt us? She asked an older child. Well, the clan leader said so, but wait, Xiao King, come back. Before he finished speaking, he saw Xiao King, who asked her the question, running towards the little purple crystal-winged Lion King. Point Xiao King held a string of candied horse and said to the little purple crystal-winged Lion King, "This is for you, play with me, okay?" The little purple crystal-winged Lion King opened his bloody mouth and ate the candied horse. Then he turned around and walked away, shaking his tail. Point Xiao King looked at his empty hands and then looked at the little purple crystal-winged Lion King, who left indifferently, tears welling up in his eyes. She felt that she had been deceived, failed to make friends, and lost a candied horse. The little purple crystal-winged Lion King, with his back to her, had a bad smile on his face. Point. After explaining the purple crystal-winged Lion King to the tribe members, Xiao Zhan followed Wu Meng to the largest stone chamber on the 9-story corridor. This has always been the residence of the Xiao family ancestor, and even Xiao Zhan came here for the first time. Come with me. There is also a passage leading to the outside world here. If there is any problem with the entrance in front, you can take the tribe members out from here. Wu Meng opened the door, walked into the stone chamber, and pointed to a closet in front of him. He stepped forward and twisted a handle on the left side of the closet. With the rumbling sound of the stone door rubbing against the ground, the closet slowly moved away, revealing a passage slightly smaller than the entrance passage of the Xiao family. Wu Meng slapped the stone wall next to him, inputting Dao Qi, and the moonstones became brighter, illuminating the passage. The moonstones in this passage are also smaller than those in the main entrance passage, and the light is darker. But he could also see the surrounding stone walls and the road under his feet. Wu Meng said as he walked, "It's time to take you to meet our ally, Amon." Xiao Zhan repeated the name, Amon. Wu Meng, who looked like Xiao Yuanshan, nodded and said softly, "Well, he is the patriarch of the Amon clan. Hundreds of years ago, when I found him, he was seriously injured, and I saved him. After that, he formed an alliance with me. His injuries have basically recovered now, but it will take some time for his strength to recover. As for the common interests of the alliance, the goals of both parties, and the obligations they undertake, I will tell you in detail when I meet him." This passage seemed to be particularly long. They walked about hundreds of meters and still did not reach the end point. After a few minutes, finally, a ray of light appeared in front of them, which was particularly dazzling compared to the slightly dim fluorescence of the moonstone point. After walking out of the tunnel, Xiao Zhan squinted his eyes and raised the back of his hand to block the dazzling sunlight. He looked around and found that there was an open plain in front of him. On one side, near the mountain wall, there was a stone house. The towering columns and round domes were the first time Xiao Zhan had seen such a strange looking building. He was a little surprised. Following Wu Meng into the stone house, the first thing that caught his eye was a huge sculpture. The sculpture depicted a person wearing a cold mask and a robe, But the strange thing was that under the robe, tentacles with complicated patterns stretched out point. Even if you just look at the stone statue, you can feel the coldness, evil, and madness of the things it carved point. Such a feeling made Zyrozan more vigilant. This person called Amon didn't seem to be a normal guy point. He looked at the surrounding walls again, which were carved with various murals. There were giant wolves with 8 legs, towers rising from the ground, dragons flying in the air, lightning, storms, suns and other abstract symbols full of symbolic meanings. This is a stone house, which seems to be a place like a clan ancestral hall. Amon, are you there? Wu Meng asked softly. Point. A young man with a pointed hat, black eyes, black hair, a high nose bridge, and thin lips walked out from behind the statue. Point. His hair was slightly curly, and he wore a crystal monocle on his right eye. He wore a classic black robe and boots of the same color. The salmon walked out with a look as innocent as a baby, and gave people a sense of clarity and stupidity. Point. He smiled warmly, and whispered to the two of them, are you here to get the spirit worm, Zyro? Zan showed a trace of doubt. Spirit worm? What is this? Wu Meng shook his head and said, let's talk about that later. This is the patriarch of our Zyro clan. Let me clarify the covenant with you. Okay, sit down. Amon took out the meditation cushion and sat down first. Zyrozan looked at Amon. He always felt that this young man gave people a feeling of being out of place, as if not human. He remembered the day when the ancestor Zyro Yuanshan first appeared in front of him. The strange man who kept the Zyro family in his place also said that Amon was not a human and could be regarded as a kind of magical beast. What does it mean to regard him as a magical beast? Could it be that they are not magical beasts? Zyro Yuanshan sat down, and Zyrozan also sat on a futon. Amon said to Zyrozan, hello, Zyro family leader. I'm Amon, the leader of the Amon clan. The purpose of my alliance with you is to go home. Ah. Zyrozan was stunned. What is the reason? He looked at Wu Meng blankly, and the latter said lightly, you will know if you listen to it. Amon still had a gentle smile on his face, but his tone was a little sad. I'm just a wandering traveler. I long to return to my hometown. That is where I was born and raised. It is the sustenance of my spirit and soul. But I can't go back. I have no way to go back with my own abilities. So I need an ally who can help me return to my hometown. In this universe, there are many planes, and each plane is like an island in the sea, or an oasis in the desert. If you want to cross an oasis to reach another oasis, you need to face great danger. If your strength does not reach a certain level, you cannot make this journey. Aren't you curious? Where did all those Dowdy from ancient times go? With their great power, it's impossible that they all died. Zyro Zan thought of a possibility. His eyes were filled with horror. Could it be? Amon nodded. Yes, they broke through the boundary, left this Daki plane, and went to another plane. My hometown is a plane called Dakian World. I hope there is someone strong enough to take me there. Yuanshan said that your Zyro family's ancestors had Dowdy, so I think it is more likely that a Dowdy will be born in your family. The main content of our covenant is that I support your Zyro family, help someone among you become a Dowdy, and then he will send me back to my hometown. Zyro Zan showed a blank and unbelievable expression. He looked at Amon and saw that the other party didn't seem to be joking, and then looked at ancestor Zyro Yuanshan and felt it was absurd for a while. Are you sure you are not kidding me? In order to return to your hometown, you support the birth of a Dowdy in our family? Chapter 441 Zyro Men Covenant. Amon's eyes were always on Zyrozan, and he seemed to be looking at something else through him. For some reasons, I need to return to my hometown to take a step further and break through to a higher level, so I can only support others. The Zyro family, who has Dao Emperor's bloodline and a key, is a good choice. Key. Zyrozan frowned. Wu Meng, who looked like Zyro Yuanshan, gave the answer. Yes, in the ancient war, the Tuosh ancient emperor Jade was divided into 8 pieces. Each of the 8 Dao Emperor families was in charge of a fragment. After gathering 8 fragments, they can open the ancient emperor's cave and obtain the Dao Emperor's cave inside. Imperial inheritance. The Soul clan perseveres in pursuing the Zyro clan. In addition to the hatred left at that time, there is also the reason for the key. In other words, this is the main reason. Zyro Zan took out the ancient jade of the Zyro clan from the ring, sighed and said, "It's this thing. It's a token passed down from generation to generation by the heads of our Zyro family." I also guessed that it might involve something else, but I didn't expect it to have such a big origin. Everyone is innocent of the crime of carrying a jade. The current Zyro family is not qualified to hold it. Please accept it, ancestor. It is not safe to put it on me. The ancestor is powerful and is more suitable to keep it. Wu Meng was not polite and nodded. I just need to use it to make some arrangements. Zyro. Zan thought for a while and asked, since 8 pieces of ancient jade need to be collected to open the ancient emperor's cave, then it would be useless for the Soul Clan to take this piece from our Zyro family. Wu Meng replied, "Oh, their ambitions are very big. I told you before that the Soul Clan has recovered its vitality after thousands of years of cultivation, and they are already ready to make a move. I estimate that the Soul Clan will gradually attack other ancient races, from weak to strong, and slowly gather all the ancient jade. There is not much time left for us against the rest of the Dao Emperor family." Zyrozan was shocked. Is this Soul Clan so powerful? Aren't they worried that the other Dao Emperor family will unite against them? Wu Meng said in a serious tone. Worried. That's why they will only do it secretly, from weak to strong, eradicating the rest of the Dowdy family bit by bit. With the strength of the Soul Clan, it can probably eliminate the weaker ones among the 8 clans silently, because most of the ancient races are very closed, so long time has passed, and they only have a rough idea of each other's strength. It is unknown whether there is a more terrifying strength hidden behind them. They couldn't immediately confirm that it was the Soul Clan who did it. The Ancient Clan, the Flame Clan, the Thunder Clan and other powerful races were also suspected. The 8 races cannot trust each other. This is the opportunity for the Soul race. After they eliminate 2 or 3 weak races, they will then destroy one of the Thunder race or the Fire race. Then even if they are exposed, the remaining races will join forces. I'm afraid he is not their opponent. When the time comes, the Soul Clan will be able to sweep across the entire Daoqi continent, and no one will be able to stop it. In addition, unfortunately, our Zyro clan is the weakest among the 8 clans. After the Soul Clan plan was launched, we were the first to bear the brunt. After hearing Wu Meng's description, Zyrozan was shocked and speechless. What kind of ambition is this to sweep across the entire Daoqi continent? After a long time, he slowly calmed down the excitement in his heart and looked at Wu Meng with doubt in his eyes. You want to ask me why I know so clearly, right? Zyro. Zan nodded. Wu Meng gave an explanation. Because I have been paying attention to the movements of the Soul Clan and the Soul Palace, and there are also my insiders in the Soul Clan. I know that Emperor Yehun's ambitions will never be so complacent, so from the beginning, I assumed that they would take action against the other 7 clans. Then, I followed this conclusion to find evidence. A lot of scattered traces pointed to my guess. Zyro. Zan was worried. Ancestor, what should we do? Don't worry about the Soul Clan's actions against us at the beginning. The Amon clan's substitute can hide it for a while. In addition, we must become stronger, even with the help of external forces. Wu Meng said. At this time, Amon, who was wearing a pointed soft hat and a monocle, said, "Don't worry, allies, you still have me. I will help you." Amon stretched out his right hand, palm down and the back of his hand facing up. Under Zyrozan's stunned eyes, a hole opened on the back of Amon's hand, and a translucent worm with 12 links and a star-like color came out of it. Amon's gentle but emotionless voice sounded, "This is the spirit insect, and it is also Amon. Integrate it into the bodies of your people, and your people will be able to have the corresponding power. If a spiritual insect of Daowang level is integrated into it, that tribesman will immediately become Daowang. If a spiritual insect of Daohuang level is integrated, then that tribesman will become Daohuang. However, it should be noted that, after being deeply integrated with the spirit insect, this tribesman will not be able to improve his strength through normal methods, and will not be able to practice normally. But it doesn't matter. You can only perform deep fusion during battle, and just keep the initial fusion at ordinary times. That won't affect the speed of cultivation." Hearing this, even with Zyrozan's determination, he couldn't help but breathe quickly. Although he felt a little resistant to integrating into this seemingly weird thing, who can resist the temptation of becoming a fighting king or fighting emperor? Are there any side effects? Zyrozen calmed down and asked. Amon responded gently, no, maybe there is. The power gained by fusing the spirit worm is not your own after all, and it takes more time to get used to it. Most people will feel awkward when using it. In addition, being able to undo the fusion means that this power can be taken back. Accepting this power also represents the deep binding between your Zyro clan and my Amon clan. I will choose to cooperate with your Zyro clan, in addition to Yuanshan's life-saving grace to me, and because you are weak enough. If it were other ancient races, they probably wouldn't need such power, and they would probably find a way to control me as the clan leader, to use the Amon clan. But your Zyro clan needs this power. If you control the Amon clan by forcefully controlling me, many abilities will not be able to be exerted. I need you, you need me, and we can achieve each other's goals by helping each other, and we have means of mutual restraint between us. My strength is not as good as Yuanshan, so he can kill me, and your members of the Zyro clan are not as strong as my members of the Amon clan, so they can kill you. This is a good basis for cooperation. Zyro Zan smiled. Aren't you too direct? Amon looked at him with pure eyes and asked, isn't it better to make it clear about things that you know well? Zyro Zan looked at Wu Meng, who crossed his arms, closed his eyes and said calmly, you are the patriarch of the Zyro family. No matter what you do, I respect your choice. In addition, even if you refuse this kind of cooperation, it doesn't matter. The Zyro family can still survive in this valley. The Amon clan will continue to stay in Wotan City to replace you to attract the attention of the Soul clan, just as a reward for my help to him that year. But after this time, the Zyro family can only rely on you. Zyrozen smiled bitterly and shook his head. Ancestor Zyro Yuanshan brought himself here to meet Amon, which represented his wishes, and the Amon clan also paid so much for the Zyro family and sent so many members to die for the Zyro family. The crisis brought by the Soul clan has not ended. Although the ancient jade was given to ancestor Zyro Yuanshan, the Soul clan wanted to destroy the Zyro clan not only for the ancient jade, but also for the hatred of the past. With the current state of the Zyro family, any Daowan can destroy it. If you can hide for a while, can you hide for a lifetime? In addition, after the cooperation, the Zyro family may also take this opportunity to rise again and regain the glory of the ancient times. Thinking of this, Zyrozen almost did not hesitate and responded without thinking, my Zyro clan will always be the most loyal ally of the Amon clan, advancing and retreating together. If someone in my Zyro clan becomes an emperor, he will definitely fulfill the current promise. If you break the contract, let my Zyro clan bloodline be cut off. Amon smiled at the corner of his mouth. The Amon clan will also be the most steadfast ally of your Zyro clan. Chapter 442, Yan Jin Development Plan. Zyrozen and Wu Meng left after confirming more details with our men. Amon and the temple watched the two people leave, his eyes as innocent and pure as a baby's when leaving. Zyrozen glanced back at Amon from time to time, feeling that this mysterious existence did seem to have some characteristics of a World of Warcraft. His style of dealing with things is not as smooth as human beings at all, but his thinking is very clear and clear. However, compared to the Amethyst Winged Lion King, Amon seems to be more evil. Ancestor Amon always gives me a evil feeling. He is very human but not human, as if he has no emotions. Zyrozen said uneasily, maybe it's because he's not a creature from this plane. When I first met him, I thought he was out of place, but he's gotten a lot better now. Wu Meng responded. Following the passage back to the underground space where the Zyro clan lived, in Wu Meng's room, two people sat opposite each other. Zyrozen asked, ancestor, is there anything else you want to give me? Wu Meng opened his mouth and said, you also know about the existence of Amon, understand the power of spirit worm. Do you have any ideas on how to use it? Zyrozen frowned. With the help of the spirit insect, our Zyro family can indeed develop and grow in a short period of time, but this borrowed power has hidden dangers, which means that we have left the fate of the whole family in the hands of the Mon clan. Wu Meng agreed. It's good that you haven't been dazzled by the sudden benefits. This is indeed a huge hidden danger. Now I can suppress Amon himself, but if his strength recovers, I may not be able to suppress him. By then, the lifeblood of our Zyro family will be completely in his hands, although, based on my understanding of him, it doesn't matter. He will not break the contract, but in the end he has to rely on himself. Zyro. Zan picked up the teacup on the table, took a sip and said, my idea is to let the younger members of the clan with outstanding talents practice on their own. We old people who have little room for improvement, as well as young people with poor talents, can use spiritual insects to improve themselves. In addition, now that Amon's power has not recovered, we cannot provide too many or too strong spiritual insects, so we can gather these spiritual insects and give them to those who go out to complete the tasks in the clan. After they complete their tasks, take it back. When Amon recovers a little in the future, we will establish a merit system based on it. People can use their family's merits to exchange for spiritual insects of different levels to strengthen themselves. The spiritual insects distributed through meritorious deeds will be used by the clan members themselves and will not be taken back by the family. Wu Meng said, okay, very clear idea. The Zyro family is lucky to have a patriarch like you. That's ridiculous. Zyrozan hesitated for a moment and then asked, but the upper limit of clan members who can be promoted by relying on spirit insects is restricted by Amon's upper limit, and the ultimate goal of our alliance with the Amon clan is to cultivate a super strong person who may become a fighting emperor. Currently, none of the young people in the clan meet the requirements. Wu Meng looked at Zyrozan and said meaningfully, isn't there one of the most talented people out there? Ancestor, are you talking about Jaina? Of course Zyrozan will not forget his son, but he instinctively does not want him to be associated with such weird things as spirit insects. He still has great doubts about Amon in his heart, so he had to choose to cooperate due to the situation. Yes, I can see his talent, and the skills he cultivates are also shocking. The skills his teacher gave him are enough to be classified as clan-suppressing skills even among ancient races. Wu Meng nodded. Zyrozan said hesitantly, but he is my son. If I select him as a candidate, will I be suspected of using power for personal gain? Today, the Zyro family has experienced such a big change, and people's minds are agitated. If I do something that makes the clan members dissatisfied, it will not be conducive to uniting the whole clan. Wu Meng shook his head with a smile. It is a good thing to be concerned about the emotions of the clan, but as a clan leader, sometimes you should have the courage to arbitrarily decide everything. Zyro. Yan is indeed the best candidate. I don't see the possibility of others growing up. Sooner or later, the tribe will be told about Amon. You can discuss it with the elders. We don't avoid relatives when selecting talents. As long as he has that qualification, we can support him. He is the son of the clan leader and the most direct bloodline in the family. That is even better, and it is more conducive to the overall stability of the family. If those clan elders have any objections, you can ask them to come to me, and that's it. Zyro. Zan said respectfully. Yes, Zyro. Zan has mixed feelings about letting Zyro Yan gain family support, and he doesn't have much resistance. By the way, do I need to tell Amon about this and get his consent? Wu Meng shook his head and said, no, if we use his power to do things, he will definitely know about it. He will not care about the candidate. The better Zyro Yan is, and the faster he grows, the happier he will be. Although he has a rational mind, he is like a child most of the time. Considering his race, he is not yet an adult. Sometimes, he is quite easy to deceive. The corner of Zyrozan's mouth twitched. Ancestor Zyro Yuanshan said that he met Amon hundreds of years ago, which means Amon has lived for at least hundreds of years. A child who is hundreds of years old. Since you have decided to train your son Zyro Yan, the most important thing for our Zyro clan next is a Yan Emperor cultivation plan. As the Zyro clan leader and his father, you have to put more thought into it. Amon has an ability to share the senses of the spirit worm and share this sense with the person who merges with the spirit worm. Later, you will also merge with the spirit worm and then connect with the spirit of the Amon member who replaced you in Wotan City, remotely control him and guide Zyro Yan. But you need to be careful not to reveal Amon's existence to him, nor tell him about the family's recent situation. When The Zio clan is in trouble and the news of being killed by the Soul clan reaches his ears. Such hatred can become his motivation to strive for progress. A trace of heartache flashed in Zio Zan's eyes. Will this be too cruel for that child? Wu Meng's tone was slightly cold. The sword is sharpened by grinding. The growth of a Dao Emperor is destined to step on piles of bones and experience swords and blood. It is just an illusion that a family has been destroyed. This is already a very merciful result. If the leader of the Soul clan, Emperor Hunshan, is placed in the same position as me, he wouldn't mind sacrificing the entire clan to fight for that slight possibility. Zio Zan sighed and nodded point, as if he felt that the previous words were too heavy. Wu Meng said in a somewhat mischievous tone, as one of the few members of the Zio clan who will not contact the Amon clan, your son Zio Yan is also a means for us to guard against the Amon clan. Even if I can no longer suppress Amon in the future and let the Zio clan fall completely under Amon's control, your son is still independent, and the Zio clan will not be without hope. So, you have to let your son branch out more. It would be best if he could develop into another branch of the Zio clan that does not rely on Amon's branch. At that time, his side will be the main branch. Jaina's lifelong event. Zio Zan's eyes showed a trace of expectation. He also wanted to hold his grandson. Chapter 443 Zio ZHAN-039 S Silence. In the temple on the other side of the mountain range, where the Zio family is located, two thin young men wearing black classical robes, pointed hats, and a pair of monocles on their right eyes, stood facing each other. One's eyes are as pure as a baby's, while the other's eyes are as deep as the stars. TSK, Wu Meng has set up such a character for you. It reminds me of someone. Amon, whose eyes were as deep as the starry sky, raised his right hand and touched the bottom edge of his monocle with his index finger. He was the true form of Amon who came from the black angle domain. Because he had the fire of space, he traveled very quickly and did not waste too much time on the long road. Amon, whose eyes were as pure as a baby's, responded, isn't this a bad character? People in the Zio family will let down their guard because of my performance. They are fused with spiritual insects and are worried about being controlled by me. The more emotionless I am, and the more I act like a machine that only responds instinctively, the more reassured they are. Amon smiled. No, very good. A golden flame emerged from his hand and was sent into the body of Priest Amon. This is the sub-fire of the Destiny Fire. With this, we can communicate remotely. I haven't tested how far it can go, but I can use it to contact Zhao Mingru, who is far away in the black corner domain. It can split into sub-fires again. You can use it as you see fit. Don't split too much. This thing is very dangerous. I understand. Priest Amon nodded. Ah, you going to the north? A voice sounded. Zio Yuanshan. Amon walked over with grey hair and a bit of gloom and fierceness in his brows. The main body. Amon chuckled. Well, I have a hunch that there is something I want there. Wu Meng responded. I hope so. Just leave Zio Yan to me with confidence. I will let Zio Zan guide him and show him the direction at key points. The main body. Amon raised his eyebrows. Zio Zan. Wu Meng smiled and pinched the socket of his right eye. Isn't this interesting? When Zio Yan in the future looked back, he found that he had been manipulated along the way, and the person who manipulated his life was actually his father. I'm looking forward to the scene where Zio Zan takes off the hood of his black robe in front of Zio Yan and says to him, I'm your father. That will definitely be interesting. The main body. Amon was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled. It's quite interesting. I'm looking forward to this good show, because of the pressure of the 3-year agreement with Yan Jin. Zio Yan did not dare to relax for a moment. Although King Meng worked hard and spent half of the day running the burning technique for Zio Yan, even if he did nothing, he only had time to practice. Will exceed most people. But this is not enough. Defeating Yan Jin in 3 years cannot be achieved by hard work alone. Zio Yan ignored Medusa's dissatisfaction and returned to Wutan City as quickly as possible. He planned to tell his father the results of the 3-year agreement and then immediately set off for Cannon College. When they arrived at Zio's house, a little girl with 2 braids was playing at the door. She looked at the boy who was slowly walking away with a look of thought on her face first and then a look of surprise. Cousin. Zyro Yan, you are back. The little girl stepped forward to say hello. You are Zyro King. Zyro Yan thought for a while before he remembered who this little girl who had grown up a lot was. Cousin, have you fought that bad guy who bullied our family? Did you win? Seeing the expectant look on Zyro King's face, Zyro Yan touched her head and said with a smile, of course I won. I came back to tell my father the news. Where is he? Zyro King did not answer Zyro Yan's question, but ran into Zyro's house very excitedly, shouting as he ran, Cousin Zyro Yan won. He defeated the big bad guy. Seeing Zyro King's excitement, Zyro Yan also showed a smile. The Zyro family's shame was finally washed away. Walking into the compound and coming to the meeting hall, I saw 3 elders who seemed to be discussing something. When they saw Zyro Yan, they stopped their discussion and took the initiative to say hello to him. Young patriarch, I wonder where my father is now? Zyro Yan asked. The 3rd elder put his right hand gently on his right eye socket and replied, the clan leader went to meet an important person. He is not in the clan for the time being. According to expectations, it will take about a week to come back. Zyro Yan frowned slightly. 1 week is neither long nor short. After thinking for a while, he said, then I will wait for 1 week. Before he could finish speaking, he heard a surprised cry. Jaina. Zyro Yan turned around and saw his father striding towards this side. After a long absence, Zyro Yan couldn't help but be a little excited to see his father again, the man he once relied on. Father, the elders didn't mean that you. Haha, I suddenly remembered that the 3-year appointment had just passed and you might come back in the next few days, so I speeded up. Zyrozen said with a smile. Although the body belongs to Amon, it is indeed Zyrozen himself who controls this body. Amon integrated a spiritual worm into Zyrozan's body, integrating deeply with him. Then this spiritual insect connected spiritually with Amon, who played Zyrozan and the Zyro family through the fire of destiny, and then shared the connection with Zyrozan. So Zyrozan can remotely control Zyrozan Amon in Wotan City. How is the situation? Have you really won? Although Zyrozan had already heard Zyro King Amon's yelling when he first came in from outside, he couldn't help but confirm again. I won. I have paid back the shame that Malin Yanran brought to me and the Zyro family. Zyro Yan said with a smile. Hahaha, Jaina, good job. Let those who once looked down on us open their eyes and see that my son, Zyrozan, is definitely not a waste. Zyrozan laughed proudly. Then, Zyro Yan glanced at the 3 elders and hesitated to say something, but every time the word came to his lips, he swallowed them back. When Zyrozan saw him like this, he knew that Zyro Yan wanted to tell him something alone, so he said, it's been so long since we last met, let's have a good chat, come to my room. After the 2 came to Zyrozan's room, Zyrozan said, okay, Jaina, now it's just the 2 of us. Just tell me what's going on. Zyro Yan organized his words and said, in fact, in the past 2 years, some things have happened that have led to other disputes between me and Yunlin sector Nalen Yanran. When I was in the Warcraft Mountains, after listening to Zyro Yan's story about him and Yun, Zyrozan fell into a strange silence. In the Warcraft Mountains, in the Zyro family's land, Zyrozan's breathing stagnated, and his face showed a look of astonishment. What the hell? Not only did you defeat Malin Yanran, but you also slept with her teacher. Wait, isn't Nalen Yanran's teacher the leader of the Yunlin sect? Chapter 444 Amon and Zyro Yan. After a long silence, Zyrozan showed a happy smile on his face. He didn't need to push himself. His son already knew how to spread the branches and leaves of the Zyro family. Moreover, his vision and ability are quite good, and he actually fell in love with the leader of Yunlin sect directly. He nodded with satisfaction. Jaina, don't let down this girl. You've done a good job. The future of our Zyro clan depends on you. Zyro Yan's face twitched. Well, those were all accidents. Accidents. It's all because of Monkey King's mischief. Yayo. Chen Soulbody's expression in the bone flame ring changed from joking to serious. He seemed to have heard something extraordinary just now. Zyro clan. Is it that Zyro clan? Looking at Zyrozan in surprise, He suddenly thought of Zuna's naughty girl and realized that this possibility seemed quite small. Jaina, what are your plans for the future? Zio-san asked. Zio-yan answered, well prepared. I plan to go to Canon College to study. In addition, Yun's matter must be explained clearly to Zuna and Xianmeng. Zan nodded. Yes, they are both good girls, but as for Zuna, if you want to satisfy her father, you have to work hard. Especially since you have incurred a lot of debts, his father may not be able to handle it well. After learning from Wu Meng who Zuna's father Gu Yuan was, Zio-san naturally knew how difficult it would be for Zio-yan to gain others' recognition. Zio-yan didn't think much about Zio-san's words. He simply thought that he meant that Zuna's father would be dissatisfied with his romantic behavior and smiled sarcastically. Zio-san wanted to reveal some things about his family to Zio-yan several times, but he swallowed his words after a long silence. He said, Jaina, you have grown up. Feel free to wander around outside. Don't worry about the family, I'm here. The young eagle has grown full of wings, and it is time to fly. Yes. Zio-yan nodded heavily. He didn't stay at Zio's house for too long. If he didn't want to personally tell Zio-san the outcome of the battle with Mel and Yanran, he wouldn't have come back. Passing through the Zio family's courtyard, he suddenly felt a chill on his back. An indescribable strange feeling spread throughout his body. His body stagnated slightly. For a moment just now, he seemed to feel that there were eyes on him from all directions, but after scanning with soul power, nothing was found. His eyes wandered around the members of the Zio family walking around, and found nothing, except that they seemed to be rubbing their right eye sockets a little more frequently. Is it my imagination? Zio-yan frowned in confusion and walked out. Shortly after he left, the members of the Zio family stopped what they were doing and turned their heads to look in the direction he left. TSK, I was almost discovered. Yeah, if I hadn't been smart enough to change the action of pinching my eye sockets to rubbing my eyes, the secret might have been exposed just now. After dealing with Zio-yan, it's time to prepare for the next wave of guests. G is weird. It's okay to take the opportunity to sneak into the Soul Clan and leave a clone there to locate the location of the Soul World. The corners of Amon's mouths were slightly tilted back, outlining identical smiles. After walking out of Wutan City, Zio-yan glanced at the familiar city behind him. The sounds of the bustling crowd seemed to fade away in his ears. The plaque with the 3 words Wutan City hanging at the gate of the city had seemed to have been recently renovated and looked bright and bright in the sunlight. He chuckled lightly and waved his hand as if saying goodbye. Then, he strode forward. The frequency of his feet became faster and faster, and he changed from a brisk walk to a trot. He suddenly jumped forward, his purple wings spread out behind him, and flew high into the sky amidst the exclamations of the crowd. The black corner territory was far away, and he didn't want to waste too much time on the journey, so he chose to use the iron wing to travel. After flying a certain distance, he felt a little tired, although it has lasted much longer than when I first obtained the purple cloud wings. After all, I'm just a great fighting master and cannot use this as a normal means of traveling like a fighting king. In a peaceful looking forest, where the trees were not dense and tall, he landed slowly, retracted his purple cloud wings, and rested against the trunk of a big tree. He took out a pot of water from Neji and took 2 swigs. After drinking most of the pot, he wiped the water stains from the corners of his mouth and gasped, this Canon College is really far away. Even if we fly all the way there, it would probably take quite a while. Yayo. Chen's voice rang in his heart. Such a long journey is not a big or small test for you. Constantly depleting and recovering your fighting energy on the way is also good for improving your cultivation. Teacher B. Careful, someone is coming. Just when Zio-yan was about to speak, Yao Chen suddenly reminded him. Zio-yan heard the solemnity in Yao Chen's tone and immediately took out the ancient ruler from Neji and threw another key restoration pill into his mouth. He looked deep into the woods with a heavy expression and said softly, since you are here, please stop hiding your head and tail. Looking at Zio-yan, who was on alert, Amon pulled down the big hood on his clothes, pinched the monocle on his right eye, and walked forward slowly. Zio-yan frowned when he saw Amon, whose whole body was covered in black robes and couldn't see clearly. Who are you? Amon chuckled lightly. I'm not here to find you. Let Yeo Chen come out, and I'll negotiate a deal with him. Yeo Chen. Zhao Yan was stunned for a moment, then realized that this was probably his teacher's name, and asked in his heart, "Teacher, is he here to see you?" Zhao Yan was extremely alert to Amon. Yeo Leo was his biggest secret, but this unknown person in front of him revealed it. A faint fierce look flashed in his eyes. Yeo Chen did not show up immediately, nor did he communicate with Zhao Yan. The other party might be bluffing him, although it was very unlikely that he was bluffing, because he locked onto Zhao Yan. He still held a little fluke point seeing that Yeo Chen did not move. Amon continued, "How long do you want to hide in that ring? Do you have to wait for me to take action before you show up?" Alas. A helpless sigh sounded, and Yeo Chen's soul flew out of the bone inflammation ring and floated behind Zhao Yan. "Who are you? How did you know I was here?" Amon did not answer his question. TSK, and said, "It is really sad that the Yeo Zun who was famous in Zhongzhou back then has fallen to this situation." Yeo Zun. Zhao Yan was shocked when he heard this title. Zun, that is the title for Daozun Strongman. Although Zhao Yan had some guesses about Yeo Chen's past level, he was still very shocked when it was confirmed. No wonder the teacher used to look down on Dan Wanguhi, the first alchemist of the Jia Empire, and said that he was nothing. If the teacher was originally a venerable, it would make sense, and the teacher is obviously an alchemist, and his own strength has reached the level of Daozun, so his corresponding alchemist level is likely to be the 8th grade. Yeo Chen's eyes condensed slightly. "My friend, what do you want to say? You shouldn't be here to scare an old man like me, right?" "Heh, how dare I? I said from the beginning that I came to make a deal with you." As he said that, Amon raised his right hand, and a soul body that was quietly sleeping appeared in the palm of his hand that was exposed under the black robe point. When he saw the soul body, Yeo Chen's breath fluctuated, and the virtual soul trembled, and he gritted his teeth and spit out a name. Han Feng. Chapter 445 Bone Spirit Cold Fire. Han Feng's soul body was depleted due to being separated from the alien fire by Amon and fighting against the spiritual insect when it was parasitic, which seemed a bit illusory. Moreover, he was shaped into a ball in Amon's hands. Only the outline of his face could be vaguely seen on the ball, but Yeo Chen still recognized him at a glance. For this disciple who was raised by him and regarded as his own, Yeo Chen devoted all his efforts. The reason for not giving him Fenju was not to guard against him, but because Yeo Chen himself was not sure whether this technique was useful. The practice of swallowing strange fire is too difficult and dangerous. At that time, Yeo Chen was a famous Yeo Zun in Central Continent. Even if he didn't gamble, he could still give Han Feng a bright future. When it was Zhao Yan's turn, he was already at the end of his rope and still had the selfish intention of resurrecting himself. So he took out Fenju and let Zhao Yan choose by himself. But what he paid for Han Feng in the end was ruthless betrayal, and he almost died because of it. When I saw him again, despite his character, the anger in my heart was beyond words and was difficult to conceal. Amon smiled. Haha, it seems that Lord Yeo is quite impressed by this person. Let's make a deal. I will use his soul in exchange for a trace of the origin of your bone spirit cold fire. It doesn't matter how much, even if it only lasts a day. Yeo Chen raised his eyebrows and immediately understood Amon's intention. You want to cultivate the strange fire yourself? The price you pay is probably enough for you to find a few strange fires. This is my own business. I don't need to worry about it. A look of suspicion appeared on Yeo Chen's face. It seems that you know very well what happened between me and this traitor. Are you from the Soul Palace? Amon shook his head. It doesn't matter how I learned about it, right? If I were from the Soul Palace, what you are facing now would not be me, but several elders. Yeo Chen's tone was slightly hesitant, with a hint of cunning in his eyes. In my current state, if a trace of the original fire is separated, it will do a lot of harm to my soul. Using it in exchange for the traitor's soul seems to be a bit of a loss for me. Besides, it would be useless for me to bring him back, except to vent my anger. Seeing him in such a state that he would rather die now makes me feel happy. He was already inclined to exchange, but wanted to see if he could get something more out of the hands of the mysterious man in front of him. Amon clicked his tongue and responded, I mean, if you don't exchange, I will let him go and find him a Daozan corpse to help him resurrect. Yayo. Chen was silent for a moment, then said with a smile, your method of threatening people is really unique. Well, if you win, I agree to exchange. Just when Yao Chen was about to cut his bone spirit cold fire, a wisp of white flame appeared in Xiao Yan's hand. It just so happens that I haven't used the ray of origin that the teacher gave me last time, so I'll pay for it. Bone spirit cold fire is connected to Yao Chen's soul. If there is any damage, it will also affect Yao Chen, who is already weak now. The last time King Meng bit off a bit of the origin from bone spirit Leng Huo, Xiao Yan still remembered what happened to Yao Chen, so he took the initiative to split his own strange fire and grabbed a handful of flames from King Meng's body. Yao Chen was stunned for a moment, and a warm current emerged in his heart. Go. Xiao Yan flicked his finger and shot the cold bone spirit fire towards Amon. The latter opened his mouth and swallowed it directly. Xiao Yan was slightly surprised. Even if it was just a trace of the source and not very powerful, it was a strange fire after all. The temperature would not change in a short period of time. It was not easy to swallow it directly. Here. Amon threw the soul ball in his hand and then said, I see that little brother is on his way in a hurry. I will give this gale eagle to you. Well, it will live for 3 months. Then you can take its magic core yourself. Ha. A loud eagle cry sounded, and the majestic giant eagle fell from the sky. The strong winds as it landed kicked up dust and rustled the surrounding trees. Yao Chen took over Han Feng's soul. Seeing this change, he instinctively acted on guard. The cold fire of the bone spirit condensed in the palm of his hand, ready to go. The dust spread to Xiao Yan's eyes, causing him to involuntarily cover his eyes with his hands. When the wind stopped and the dust dispersed, Amon had disappeared. Only the huge gale hawk downstairs was staring at him with bright eyes, being stared at by such a monster that exuded strong coercion. Xiao Yan swallowed his saliva. Old teacher, he said he gave this to us? If I read correctly, this should be a 6th level magical beast. Yes. Yao Chen nodded and added, not only that, it is also a peak 6th level monster, which is on the same level as your Jama Empire's royal guardian Jia Xingqian and Queen Medusa before she evolved. Although he said that this big guy can only live for another 3 months, it is also a 6th level magic beast. Even if it dies, it will still have a 6th level magic core. Treating this as a gift is too generous. Yao Chen sighed. It is not only a gift, but also an apology for the little threat just now. In addition, it may be a compensation for us. Compensation? Xiao Yan was stunned. Yes. Yao Chen placed the soul in his hand in front of Xiao Yan. Xiao Yan looked at him curiously and found that Han Feng's eyes were dull and lifeless, and his mouth occasionally opened and closed, looking stupid. Bahan Feng's soul has been mutilated by him, and he has even lost his original consciousness. We have come back with a useless piece of trash. Yao Chen looked at Han Feng's soul body with a complicated expression. Ah. Then we were tricked by that guy? Did we lose? Xiao Yan scratched the back of his head. It's not a loss. After all, it gave me a chance to deal with this traitor with my own hands. Yao Chen moved his finger, and the bone spirit's cold fire suddenly shot up, burning Han Feng's soul into nothingness. Yao Chen seemed to be much older, and the full head of hair that originally made him look like an immortal seemed to be proof of his aging. Xiao Yan looked at the medicine dust like this, and couldn't help but shouted worriedly, Teacher. Yao Chen looked at Xiao Yan and forced a smile. You kid, it's true that being separated from your origin is nothing to me. You still have a 3-year contract, which will delay your practice. Xiao Yan said solemnly, if it weren't for the teacher's training, I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to beat Nail and Yanran's 3-year contract. How could I be where I am today? I will work hard to make up for the deterioration in cultivation caused by the separation of the original alien fire. Teacher, your state is the most important. After hesitating for a moment, he asked, Teacher, can you tell me about Han Feng? Yao Chen sighed softly. Han Feng was once my disciple. I thought he was pitiful, so I adopted him. I taught him cultivation and taught him the art of refining medicine. but I didn't expect that he would collude with the Soul Palace to plot against me. After hearing this, Zhao Yan said bitterly, "It's so easy to die. It's an advantage for him. Teacher, it's a blessing in disguise. If it weren't for this traitor, how would we have met?" Zhao Yan hereby promises that he will resurrect the teacher and bring him back to the top. I will also be better than Han Feng, and I will not disgrace your reputation. In addition, I will also make those who plot against the teacher pay the price. There was light in Yao Chen's eyes again, and he said happily, okay, this time, I saw the right person. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 446, Burning Decision and Bug. It hurts. King Meng pushed up Zhao Yan's wig and emerged from his head. He grabbed Zhao Yan's cheek with his chubby little hands, looking extremely dissatisfied. Zhao Yan was extremely helpless and raised his hand above his head, holding King Meng's soft hat and lifting it off. "It's not my fault to separate your origin directly. I'll just give you more fire energy to make up for it next time, Meng." King Meng calmed down and sat on Zhao Yan's shoulder, holding his chin with his short hand, lost in thought. It always felt that the person just now gave it an extraordinarily familiar feeling. There seems to be an inexplicable connection with myself. Although King Meng was comforted, Zhao Yan had a headache on his face because it seemed to have no intention of running Fenju for him anymore. It looked like it would be on strike for a while. Then he looked at the gay eagle left behind by Amon and asked Yao Chen in his heart, "Teacher, should I use this thing or not? Should I take it directly to Canon College?" Yao Chen responded with a smile, "Now that we have it all, why not make use of it? Traveling to sharpen your fighting spirit is just a poor method when there is no better way. Arrive at Canon College earlier and start other training earlier." Zhao Yang nodded in agreement. "That's right." He walked up to Gale Eagle and said to it, "Brother Eagle, can you take me to Canon College?" Gale Eagle tilted his head and did not answer him. Zhao Yan asked again, but still didn't get an answer. He raised his eyebrows, feeling that something was unusual. There is something wrong with this Gale Eagle. The aura is strong, but it does not bring a huge sense of oppression like the amethyst winged lion king of the Warcraft Mountains. It is like a sluggish puppet. After Yao Chen observed carefully, he felt a little frightened. What a cruel method. I'm afraid someone directly used some secret method to wipe out its intelligence, turning it into a dead creature that only obeys orders. Then, how do I get it to do things for me? Zhao Yan asked, looking at the white circle on Gale Eagle's right eye. Try giving it orders directly. Zhao Yan said, "Take a step forward." Gale Eagle took a step forward, turning around in circles. Gale Eagle spun around in a circle. "Stand on your head and show me." The spirit worm, who controlled the Gale Eagle and pretended to be a mindless puppet, fell silent. It really can't do this with a bird's body. So he looked at Zhao Yan with a look that looked like he was mentally retarded. Zhao Yan seemed to know that his order was a bit too much. He coughed twice and explained, "I'm just seeing how it responds to some orders that it clearly can't do." Yao Chen laughed dumbly. As a closed disciple, he was sometimes a little out of tune. No matter how mature and steady he is still a young man after all. Zhao Yan jumped onto Gale Eagle's back with all his strength and gave the order, "Brother Eagle, send me to Canon College." This time, Gale Eagle responded. It made a clear cry of "Kai," flapped its wings, and rushed into the sky with a bang. The strong wind howled in his ears, and Zhao Yan even had to expend a lot of fighting energy to fight against the cold wind blowing in his face. Watching the scenery on the ground moving backwards rapidly, many things disappeared from his sight before he could even see what they were. He took a breath of cold air. This speed, I'm afraid even the average Daozang can't match it, right? Yao Chen said in his heart. That's true. The Gale Eagle is a magical beast known for its flying speed. The Gale Eagle at the peak of Daohuang cannot be caught up by ordinary Daozang. That Mysterious man in black robe does not seem to have any ill intentions, otherwise he would not have left such a good thing. In an open space below, Amon watched Zio Yan ride away on the Gale Eagle. He raised his right hand and pinched the upper and lower edges of the monocle with his index finger and thumb respectively, his eyes deep point putting his right hand down from his glasses. Amon flipped his wrist, and a forest white flame filled with icy coldness appeared in his palm point. He whispered to himself, "Oh, King Meng's mind seems to have been drained a lot. There is no spirit insect in the bone spirit cold fire that was sent. It's really just a trace of bone spirit cold fire. Origin. It does not contain spirituality, but is a dead thing that cannot be parasitized." Green flames poured out from Amon's back and fell to the side, forming a new Amon point. This newly appeared alien fire. Amon chuckled. It doesn't matter. Didn't King Meng already give a demonstration? How to turn the origin of the strange fire, that is a dead thing, into a part of himself. Let's use Fenju's fusion and separation mechanism to fix a bug. Saying that, alien fire Amon connected with the spirit insect that had practiced Fenju before and learned Fenju on the spot. He took the bone spirit cold fire from the hands of his true form, Amon, and ran the technique to refine it. After alien fire Amon refined the bone spirit cold fire with Fenju. The bone spirit cold fire merged with him and became a part of him. The main body waved his hand and golden flames and silver flames floated towards alien fire Amon, handing him the fire of space and the fire of destiny. Alien fire Amon smiled and effortless fused the two flames one by one with Fenju. He turned into a strange fire composed of the four flames of Kinglian earth core fire, bone spirit cold fire, space fire, and destiny fire. The action of the strange fire Amon did not stop. He used his own innate ability splitting together with the mechanism of the burning decision to separate and fuse the strange fire and became four strange fire Amons. So, the bone spirit cold fire was no longer just a trace of origin, but a real strange fire. The two kinds of beast fire that had never been given spiritual intelligence also had spiritual intelligence. They became the space fire Amon and the destiny fire Amon respectively. The invisible flame and the water blue flame rose from the main body, and the fallen heart flame Amon and the sea heart flame Amon appeared on the open space. Of these six kinds of flames, the most important thing for Amon's main body was naturally the destiny fire point. Although the strange characteristics of this kind of fire are currently difficult for even himself to grasp, its upper limit is also the highest point. After thinking for a while, Amon's main body decided to let Destiny Amon practice the burning decision point, and in the future, he would not use the aggregation method to improve his strength, but only improve it through normal practice methods. Although the aggregation of spirit worms can form a stronger individual in an instant, since the spiritual will of each spirit worm is different, the new individual after aggregation contains a lot of different wills in its fighting spirit, which is mottled, so the cultivation potential of this new individual is limited. The original body Amon will only regard such an aggregated Amon as a thug and a tool, but not as the core of long-term development. Destiny Amon is not such a tool. If the original body cannot find a suitable path for itself, the path of different fire can also be regarded as a secondary choice point. So Destiny Amon needs to keep the foundation solid. This does not actually affect the cultivation speed of Destiny Amon. Burning Dew is very special. It only needs to devour and refine different fire to upgrade quickly. Amon can let the other different fire Amons gather spirit worms, concentrate the energy, and then let Destiny Amon refine it. This not only avoids the problem of mottled fighting spirit caused by aggregation, but also allows the newly born and weak Destiny Amon to keep up with the cultivation progress of the original body. However, through the refining of the burning decision, a large amount of energy will be lost, unlike the almost lossless absorption of aggregation. After the other 5 different fire Amon separated a juvenile flame, Destiny Amon used the burning decision to refine and absorb them all. Before absorbing, Amon used the aggregation method to raise the levels of these 5 different fire Amons to the current maximum. These days, the strength of the original Amon has also improved slightly, breaking through to the 2-star Daohuan point. By adjusting the proportion of the soul, the strength of the clone can reach 1-star Daohuan point, but Destiny Amon used the burning decision to refine and absorb 5 1-star Daohuang level different fire clones, and his strength was only barely Dowling. Amon said TSK, and whispered, "This burning decision devours and refines different fires, and the waste of energy is really terrible. In fact, such a waste rate is normal, but Amon compared it with his 2 talents of aggregation and soul devouring, which makes it seem a bit cost effective. From the perspective of developing combat power, practicing the burning technique is undoubtedly a waste for Amon. He does not have the worry of not being able to accommodate multiple different fires, but he needs such a backup. From a long-term strategic perspective, it is necessary to cultivate such a different fire Amon with a solid foundation. So despite the high price, Amon still decided to cultivate Destiny Amon. However, for this kind of clone, 1 is enough for the time being, otherwise it will affect the growth of the main body. Chapter 447 Eagle Fang City, Zoo Family. The rolling mountains are like giant dragons crawling on the ground, revealing a vast and desolate atmosphere. There are constant strong winds in the sky, and thick dark clouds cover the world all year round. The sun struggles to penetrate the dark clouds and strong winds, illuminating the world. But even at noon, which should be the brightest time of the day, it is still like dusk, and dusk. The whole world is lead grey, and the flowers, trees, mountains, and rivers, which should have bright colors, are dim in such gloomy light. A thin young man wearing a black classical robe and a pointed soft hat of the same color sat on the back of a turtle with an arc on 1 foot. He held a map in his hand, and whispered to himself, "It should be in this area, why can't I see even a single figure?" After collecting all the strange fires that could be easily obtained in the northwest of the continent, Amon prepared to go to the north of the continent. Although the northwest is adjacent to the north of the continent on the map, it is unknown how long it will take to fly over there, even with the space fire for short distance space movement. So Amon's plan is to go to the nearest city with a space wormhole and use the space wormhole to pass through. His destination is a city located in the deep mountains, Eagle Fang City. However, this city seems to be difficult to find. Amon has been wandering around for a long time and still hasn't seen a single person nearby. A beast roar attracted Amon's attention. The soul power swept over and found that it was a 5th level blazing cat chasing a middle-aged man at the Dowling level. The spirit worm controlling the lightning turtle did not need the reminder of the main body. It started with a catapult and ran towards the place where the chase took place with a bang. The blazing cat did not seem to be in a hurry to kill the Dowling. There was cruelty and teasing in its eyes. It liked the feeling of playing with its prey and liked to watch its prey die in struggle and pain. The middle-aged Dowling gritted his teeth. The scratches on his back were covered with fire poison, which made him feel a burning pain, and the pain kept getting worse. This damn thing. A touch of despair emerged in his heart, but he quickly suppressed it. Even though he knew that the other party had been playing with him for a few minutes and had missed several opportunities to kill him, he could only struggle and escape as the other party expected. If he continued to run, there would still be a possibility of being rescued. Even if the hope was very slim, he would not wait to die on the spot. His physical strength was gradually consumed, and his Dao Ki was almost exhausted. The large amount of blood loss made his eyes a little black. He bit the tip of his tongue to make himself more sober. "Fight. I will bite off a piece of meat from this beast even if I die." The middle-aged Dowling stopped running and prepared for the last fight. The fiery cat jumped onto a tree, looked down at the middle-aged man, licked his paw leisurely, and a hint of mockery flashed in his eyes. It still did not take the initiative to attack, but just quietly watched the dying Dowling. "You don't even give me a chance to fight." A bitter feeling emerged in the middle-aged man's heart. From far to near, the sudden sound attracted their attention. Amid the roar and the crackling sound of electricity, a huge turtle hit the body of the fiery cat like a cannonball, and the huge impact directly knocked it out. The fiery cat turned half a circle in the air and fell to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Just as it was about to roar at the sudden attacker, a pale palm pierced through its head and dug out the magic core. After casually shaking off the blood on his hand, Amon set his sights on the Dowling that was chased by the fiery cat. Before seeing that he looked shaky, he flicked his finger and gave him a 4th grade healing pill. "Take it, it's for healing. I want to ask you something." The middle-aged Dowling took out the pill from the jade bottle without hesitation and swallowed it in one gulp. Judging from the fact that the other party easily killed the blazing cat that had cornered him, this was a strong man that he could not fight against. The other party saved his life from the blazing cat, so he did not need to be too wary. After taking the elixir, the middle-aged Dowling felt a warm force flowing through his meridians. With the flow of this force, except for the fire poison that still stubbornly remained on his back, the rest of his injuries improved at a fast speed, and his physical fatigue was also relieved a lot. Senior, I'm grateful for your kindness. I'm Minghang. If you can help me, please tell me. Amon stroked his monocle and asked, you don't look like you have come here alone through the forest. Is Eagle Fang City nearby? Do you know where it is? Minghang smiled and was happy to be able to repay the senior who saved his life. He nodded quickly. I know, this is your first time to Eagle Fang City, right? Although Eagle Fang City is nearby, it was closed by a Daozun senior with a space lock. No one knows its exact location, but there are specific intersections to enter. These intersections are not on the ground, but underground, which is relatively secretive. Therefore, it is difficult for people who come here for the first time to find the route without a guide. Senior, are you going to Eagle Fang City? I will lead the way for you. Amon nodded, jumped onto the back of the lightning turtle, and whispered, then let's go. Glancing at Minghang, he added, you come up too. Minghang looked at the huge lightning turtle that exuded terrible power and felt fear for this 6th level monster. At the same time, he was even more in awe of Amon, who could use such a terrible monster as a mount point. After hesitating for a while, he climbed onto the turtle's back with some hesitation. Senior, there is a mountain stream about 50 miles away from here. Under the mountain stream is an entrance to Eagle Fang City. Amon didn't know much about Eagle Fang City. He just heard that there was a space wormhole leading to the barbarian territory in the north of the continent. He asked with a little curiosity, is there anything special about Eagle Fang City? Why is it hidden so secretly? Minghang knew everything and answered immediately. Eagle Fang City is actually a huge black market. Some forces will sell the captured people to the northern barbarian territory through here. There are also slaves from the northern barbarian tribes who are sold here. The attitudes of several surrounding countries towards Eagle Fang City are not good, and there is no strong power like the Blackhorn region. If it is too blatant, it is easy to be encircled and suppressed. So, compared to the openly chaotic areas like the Blackhorn region, Eagle Fang City is much more low-key. If it were not in the deep mountains and had never touched the core interests of the surrounding empires, it would have been destroyed long ago. Is that so? What are the forces in the city that need to be paid attention to? What is the strength of the strongest? Amon continued to ask. Minghang thought for a while and responded, the strongest family in the city is the Zhu family. This space lock is said to be left by an ancestor of the Zhu family. They are also the management family of the space wormhole here. The Zhu family has an ancestor who is said to be Daozun. However, such a big man is not something that people like me can contact, so I can't say how strong he is. I heard that the Zhu family is also connected with a branch of the barbarian snake tribe in the north of the continent. The wife of the head of the Zhu family seems to be from the barbarian snake tribe. Zhu family, barbarian snake tribe. Is it that the Zhu family has a special liking for snakes? Amon muttered in his heart. Chapter 448, City in the Mountain. Under Minghang's introduction, Amon learned more about Eagle Fang City in Yingaya City. The Zhu family is the largest family, but compared to this local snake, passers-by are even more difficult to deal with. Anyone who dares to do business between the northwest continent and the northern continent has some strength and a certain background. Or they are powerful people who specially come to borrow the space wormhole to go to another place. It is normal to see Daowang and Daohuang among passers-by, and occasionally you can see the figures of Daozang strong men. The leader of the Zhu family is named Zhu Renshan, a high-level fighting emperor. As for the ancestor of the Zhu family, he has not appeared in Eagletooth City for a long time. Since the geographical locations of the two places connected by the space wormhole are not very good, the throughput of this space wormhole is much smaller than that of ordinary space wormholes. Moreover, the controllers of both places dare not charge too high tolls to those powerful passers-by, so although the profits brought by the space wormhole are large. They are not enviable. This is also the reason why the Zhou family's Daozang strongman has not shown up for a long time, and the Zhou family is still as stable as a mountain in Eagletooth City. Under Minghang's guidance, Amon arrived at the bottom of the mountain stream. Under the mountain stream, a wide river flows quietly. Going up the river, on one side of the river, there is a huge cavity on the cliff. In the cavity, stalactites and stalagmites grow messily. Huge moonstones are inlaid on the stone walls on both sides. In the dim light, a winding road leads deep into the cave. Minghang rubbed his back with his hands. The sting from the fire poison continued to intensify, causing cold sweat to break out on his forehead. However, he still introduced it diligently. The underground road leading to Eagle Fang City is often 100 miles long. This road is only about 70 miles long, and it is the shortest one among them. After walking for about 20 miles, a narrower fork road merged from the left, and more pedestrians came and went. Most of these people had fierce looks on their faces, with "I'm not to be trifled with" written almost on their faces. Some of them wore black robes to cover themselves tightly. Although the people coming and going were not friendly, not many conflicts broke out. Compared to the Black Corner territory, the people here seemed to be more restrained, not to mention taking action. I didn't even hear a few words from the quarrel. TSK, I thought it would be more chaotic. Everyone seems to be quite friendly, Amon said with a smile. Minghang's face twitched imperceptibly. You seem to have some misunderstanding about kindness, he reminded. Senior, most people are here to do business. Everyone is looking for money. Generally, they will not quarrel with others for no reason, or over trivial matters, nor will they provoke strangers. The most important thing here is that wealth should not be exposed. If someone is found to be carrying a valuable treasure, they will be easily targeted. Fighting is not prohibited in Eagletooth City. Fighting is not prohibited? Amon raised his eyebrows, slightly surprised by this. Minghang injured the pain caused by the fire poison on his back and explained, although the Zhou family is the most difficult force to mess with in the local area, it does not have high control over the entire Eagle Fang City. Fighting is prohibited in the inner city, where they are located, while it is optional in the outer city. Their main business is collecting tolls through space wormholes, and the rest rarely interfere. The road from the cave under the mountain stream to Eagletooth City seems to be a relatively important main road, with several branch roads joining in along the way. There are more people on the road. Amon sat on top of the lightning turtle, looking a bit high profile. There was no blind person blocking the way, and everyone wisely cleared the surrounding area. After all, the aura revealed by the giant turtle monster alone as a mount is at least level 5. To be able to use such a monster as a mount, its owner must have a strong background, or be a stronger person himself. A strong Daohuan warrior can receive courtesy from all parties, even in Eagle Fang City. The road became wider and wider, and when we walked out of the long tunnel, our vision suddenly opened up. Bright light fell from above. Surrounding this open space were towering rock walls. Eagletooth City was actually built inside a mountain peak. The distant sky above was irregularly circular. From the clear sky, we could tell that the mountain was extremely high and penetrated the strong wind that enveloped this area. There are continuous buildings in front, mostly stone buildings, with a few wooden attics mixed in. Unlike most cities on Daoki continent, Eagle Fang City has no city walls, or the huge surrounding mountains are its walls. In addition to the tunnel Amon entered, there are many large and small tunnel exits on the mountain, with flying monsters coming and going. Eagletooth City is built on a huge hill-like rock, with the highest terrain in the middle and gradually lowering around it. If I want to use the space wormhole, what should I do? Amon looked at Minghang and asked. Minghang took a breath, his forehead throbbing with pain from the spreading fire poison. He pointed to the highest point in the center of the city with his trembling right hand and said, "Did you see those white buildings in the center? That's the inner city, where the Zhou family directly controls. There is a central square in the inner city, and the Zhou family will regularly launch spaceships to carry people to the other side. You only need to buy a boat ticket at the Zhou family's ticket office. If you have a spaceship, you can pay a toll and set off on your own." After finishing speaking, Minghang said with some embarrassment, "Is there anything else you want to tell me? If there is nothing else, can I leave for a while and find a doctor to treat the fire poison behind me?" Amon smiled, and moved his right index finger slightly. The fire of destiny ignited on Ming Hong's back, burning away the fire poison on his wound point. Then it drilled into his meridians, spread to his whole body, and removed most of the fire poison in his body point. After a circle in Ming Hong's body, the fire of destiny returned to Amon's hand. There should be some residue. You can handle the rest by yourself, and let's say goodbye, Amon said with a smile. The tingling pain from time to time in the body was greatly relieved. Ming Hong bowed deeply to Amon and jumped off the back of the lightning turtle point. After walking for a distance, Ming Hong suddenly felt dazed. For some reason, he felt that the fire poison left by the blazing cat seemed to be just that, and it seemed that he was not affected too much along the way. After he left, Amon whispered, there was almost no backlash when using the fire of destiny to burn away the fire poison. Is it because I left some fire poison, and the remaining fire poison supported the fate of all the original fire poison? Or is it that the greater impact of the fire poison should be in the future, changing the uncertain future fate without backlash? Or because the impact is very small, and it is more of an impact on the spirit of a Dowling, and the material changes are not big, so there is no more negative feedback? Amon did not dwell on this for too long. The power of destiny is still too mysterious for him now. This is just a casual attempt. Chapter 449. Routine problems with space wormholes. Amon stared at the direction where Ming Hong left, and a drop of sticky blood with a slight fishy smell slowly emerged in his palm. This was accidentally brought out by the fire of destiny when it was removing the fire poison for Ming Hong. As a magical beast, and a magical beast that has parasitized many magical beasts, Amon is very familiar with the magical beast components in the blood. Ming Hong's blood has the breath of snakes and eagles. Maybe his full name should be Ming Hong. The layout of the outer city of Yingaya City seems very messy, and it was obviously not well planned when it was built. The road is tortuous and complicated. In less than 5 minutes, he walked into a dead end for the third time. Amon was not annoyed and slowly retreated to find the road again. When he walked into a market, the road became narrow, and the vendors on both sides occupied a large area of the street. The shops on both sides were filled with a wide range of goods. Amon casually scanned them with his soul power and found nothing special. What interested him more than the goods were the merchants from the north of the continent. They had different appearances, including centaurs with human upper body and horse lower body, half snakes with human body, snake neck and back, and human head again, half fishermen who looked like normal humans but had fish fins on their ears. Is this the barbarian tribe that merged with the magic beast? They are simply half orcs. But it is said that the orthodox fusion method should only fuse the beast soul. The fusion with the magic beast body was created and developed by the Mohist school. It seems that the Mohist school in the north of the continent has developed very well. Amon stroked his monocle and thought to himself. After walking for most of the day, he looked up at the sky. It was still the clear blue sky, but it was much dimmer. He whispered to himself, calculating the time. It should be night, but it is as bright as day here. Is there some special way to store and release light? After walking around for a while, the initial novelty gradually disappeared, and Amon jumped to the top of an attic, looking out at the white buildings in the center of the city. The huge body of the lightning turtle gradually shrank, turning into a palm-sized turtle that landed on Amon's shoulder. Looking at the sky, there were many flying monsters outside the city, but there were no flying people or monsters above the city buildings. Well, maybe there are regulations prohibiting flying. Amon jumped over the roofs one by one, attracting a round of curses from those who were disturbed by him. Fighting is not prohibited in the outer city of Eagle Fang City, and of course flying is not prohibited either. It's just that flying over other people's heads can easily cause disputes, so most people would rather come down and walk. Amon's behavior of jumping over other people's roofs is not much better than flying directly over. Several knives flew from the yard below. Amon paused and turned flexibly to avoid these attacks one by one, and then continued to jump forward. In front of the white building in the center, the towering rocks are closely connected, spreading to both sides, forming a circle, playing a role similar to a city wall. There is already a long queue on the road leading to the inner city. The front end is where the Zhu family sells tickets for the space wormhole. There are two different ways to sell tickets. One is to take the spaceship arranged by the zoo family, and the fee is charged according to the number of people. The other is to own a spaceship by yourself, and the fee is charged according to the size of the spaceship. In addition, the second method requires an additional entry fee, based on the number of people. The entry fee for the first method is already included in the price of the ticket, and does not need to be paid separately. For most individual people, buying a ticket is more affordable, while the second method is more suitable for those caravans. Of course, there are also people who like to travel alone and have money, and they will choose the second method. Jumping down from the roof, Amon honestly lined up at the end of the line. Don't sneak in. The spirit worm controlled the body of the lightning turtle and asked, "Why do you have such a bad idea? I'm a law-abiding person." Amon raised the corner of his mouth and outlined a smile. The lightning turtle was silent for a while and said, "You lied to Amon." The team did not move for a long time, and there were whispers among the crowd, and the voices of dissatisfaction were getting louder and louder. "People from the zoo family, give everyone an explanation quickly. You let me wait here like a fool. What do you mean? Are you going to sell these tickets? We came all the way here, not to be fooled by you. Everyone, please be patient. Please be patient. I just received a notice to suspend ticket sales, and I don't know the specific situation. I think the elders will come to inform everyone of the reason later." A member of the zoo family tried to maintain order. He wiped the sweat from his forehead. It was obvious that he was under great pressure facing the emotional crowd. After a while, a man in light yellow clothes, thin, about 50 years old, with grey hair came out. The aura of a high-level Douluo slowly spread, and the crowd instantly quieted down. He bowed to the crowd and said loudly, "I'm Zhu Renshin. Everyone, I'm sorry. There is a small problem with the space wormhole. We are trying to find a way to repair it, although the problem is not very serious. After all, space navigation is no small matter. If there is a slight mistake, I'm afraid that the lives of everyone on the ship will be in danger. I don't think everyone wants to see this happen. So, in order to take responsibility for everyone's safety, we have decided to temporarily stop selling tickets. If anyone has a spaceship and really wants to use the wormhole in an emergency, we will not stop them. Just pay the normal price. However, our zoo family is not responsible for this safety issue. If there is any situation, all consequences will be borne by yourself." Seeing that Zhu Renshin had said everything, and his attitude was pretty good, the dissatisfaction among the crowd gradually disappeared. After all, no one wants to risk their lives. "May I ask Chief Zhu, when will this space wormhole be repaired?" someone asked. Zhu Renshin looked embarrassed and said hesitantly, "I can't say for sure. It may take a few weeks or a few months." Without a positive answer, the crowd was slightly disappointed and gradually dispersed. Amon pulled the corner of his mouth and said, "Tsk, well, there will always be accidents when you want to use the space wormhole. Is this the treatment of the protagonist?" The lightning turtle thought for a moment and said, "Maybe it's because our race is now spiritual worm, and we enjoy the treatment of fools." After the crowd left, Amon did not leave. He stepped forward, looked at Zhu Renshin and asked, "What are the possible consequences of using this problematic space wormhole?" Zhu Renshin shook his head. "I'm just a Daohuang, and my understanding of the power of space is limited. If I'm lucky, I may arrive smoothly. If I'm unlucky, I may be teleported to a place outside the destination. There is also a chance of encountering space turbulence and being buried directly in the space channel." Chapter 450 Zuarinshan and -039 S request. Zhu Renshin looked at Amon and said, "Sir, actually I'm here specifically for you." Amon raised his eyebrows and showed an interesting expression. "We haven't met before, right? How did you know about me?" Zhu Renshin said with a smile. "Didn't you save a fighting spirit from the blazing cat before? He is a member of our zoo family. I would like to thank you for your help before." As he spoke, he cupped his hands to Amon and then continued, "With all due respect, can you tell me your approximate strength? I have something to ask for." This is not a polite behavior, but it doesn't hurt to say it. To Starfighting Emperor. Amon told the truth very honestly. To Starfighting Emperor. Zhu Renshin frowned slightly, the enthusiasm on his face fading a bit. Amon smiled and said, "You can tell me something first. Maybe I can help. My Warcraft partner also has some strength. Zhu. Renshin focused his attention on the lightning turtle on Amon's shoulder. After pondering for a moment, he said, "This is not the place to talk. Please come in and talk." He made a gesture of invitation. Amon nodded and walked forward. After walking through the long road, we arrived at an open central square. A silver halo of light was suspended over the square, like a huge mirror in the center of the circular aperture. There is a colorful black color. The light and shadow are floating, and a strange wave is rippling. Amon slowed down, looked at the aperture, pinched his monocle and said, "This is the entrance to the space wormhole. A very interesting thing." A trace of pride appeared on Zhu Renshin's face. This was built by an ancestor of my Zhu family, and it connects Eagle Fang City to Whitesnake City in the northern continent. There is a wide high platform below the wormhole, which is where the spaceship usually departs. It is now surrounded by several signs prohibiting entry. On the high platform, there was a figure in green clothes waiting. After Zhu Renshin and Amon walked onto the high platform, the man in Singyi frowned and said, "Clan leader Zhu, is this the person you went to meet specifically? It doesn't look like much." Zhu Renshin smiled at the man in Singyi. "With more people comes more power, not to mention that this little brother is already a 2-star Daohuan at a young age, and his future is limitless." "What?" The man in Singyi was slightly surprised. Then he cupped his hands to Amon and introduced himself. "Shen Yan, 6-star Daohuan. I was rude just now. Please forgive me, little brother." Amon responded with a smile. "My name is Huang Tao, from the Black Corner territory." Black Corner domain. As soon as the place name was spoken, Shenyan and Zhu Renshin looked at Amon with a little more caution. The name of the Black Corner territory is almost unknown to everyone in the northwest of the continent, and no one who comes from there is simple. Zhu Renshin coughed lightly and said softly, "Then let's get to the point. This is my Zhu family's space wormhole, but you have also seen it. Now it has a small problem, and it has become unstable." Shen, Yan and Amon both focused on the space wormhole. After observing it for a while, they found that it would tremble every once in a while, and then spit out a blast of strong wind with the power of space. The power of Gangfeng is not strong, and even Dowling can probably resist it. However, this abnormality indicates that there is some malfunction in the space wormhole, and there is a hidden crisis that even Daozang dare not ignore. If an accident occurs in the space channel, unless you are a strong Daozang who has mastered the power of space, there is only a dead end. Zhu Renshin sighed softly. "This is the situation. If you ask around the city about the reputation of the Zhu family, you will know that we have never made it difficult for anyone to use the wormhole. It's not that I don't let everyone use it, but it really doesn't work." Shenyan nodded. "This is well known in the Zhu family, and I have no objection. But why did you invite us here, Chief Zhu?" "As far as I know, maintaining and repairing space wormholes requires at least Daozang strength, right? There is no way for us two Dao emperors to help each other on this issue." Zhu Renshin hesitated for a moment and said, "You two should have heard that there is an ancestor of Daozang in my Zhu family, but he has not shown up for a long time. Actually, there is something wrong with the ancestor's body. Due to an accident, he was poisoned. Although we have spent a huge price and hired a 7th level alchemist to refine an antidote for him. But this elixir cannot be taken directly. It also needs to be combined with a kind of heavenly material and earthly treasure called fire slurry. I released the news that I was willing to purchase the fire ooze at a high price, and at the same time, sent my clansmen to explore the places where high level fire attributed monsters lived and where the fire ooze might exist. After paying a heavy price, a clan member finally found the fire ooze, but all treasures of heaven and earth must be protected by monsters. The fire ooze is very attractive to fire attributed monsters, and there are 2 red trained pythons living there. I hope you two can help me get the fire ooze. After my ancestor recovers, it will not be difficult to repair this space wormhole, and my Zhu family will also give me generous rewards." Amon smiled and asked the key to the problem. "What are the strengths of these 2 red pythons? What kind of reward can you give?" Zhu Renshin replied, "The reward is to randomly select a 6th level medicinal plant or a 6th level magic core from my Zhu family's inventory. As for the strength of the red python, to Days ago, I went to test it, and found that one of the two red pythons was as strong as me, and the other was even stronger than me. I'm afraid it's almost reaching the 7th level. It's almost reaching the 7th level. Shenyan took a breath of cold air. I'm afraid this kind of beast is beyond our ability to contend with, Zhu Renshin said. When the time comes, I will prepare 2 dragon tiger pills, and 1 wind running pill. Brother Shen and I will each take 1. I will hold back the stronger one, and you will hold back the weaker one. As for Brother Huang, how about taking the wind running pill, taking the fire flowing slurry and retreating? Both the dragon tiger pill and the wind running pill are 5th level top grade pills. The former has the effect of improving strength in a short period of time, while the latter can increase a person's speed dramatically during the duration of the drug effect. It can be seen that, in order to allow the ancestor to recover, the Zhu family has invested a lot of money. Amon pretended to be hesitant, and after thinking for a while, he asked, there should be more than 3 Daohuang in the city, right? Why not call a few more people? With your current investment, you should not mind paying 2 or 3 more Daohuangs. Zhu Renshin smiled bitterly and shook his head, saying, there are more than 3 of us, but this matter cannot be known to the Daohuangs in other local families. They have long coveted the control of the space wormhole, so I can only find Daohuang masters from outside. In the past half month, there have been only 2 Daohuangs who came to Yingaya City. Yan thought about it and gritted his teeth and said, let's do it, but it's agreed in advance that, if I feel that I can't win, and my life may be in danger, I will retreat at any time. That's natural. Zhu Renshin looked at Amon. The latter also nodded slightly and smiled. Who made me rush to use the space wormhole? Zhu Renshin laughed and said, okay, after the matter is done, you two will always be friends of my Zhu family. With your help, I'm more than 70% sure that this matter can succeed. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.